Partly cloudy, 17 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion has individual sessions and classes claimable on private health and NDIS.
South Australian Optus customers impacted by the data breach will be able to apply for a new driver's licence free of charge. The state government will waive the usual $20 fee. Anyone who's already done so will be reimbursed. Meantime, the FBI has been called in to help local agencies investigate the cyber attack on the telco. The demolition of the heritage-listed Theberton Police Barracks to make way for the new Women's and Children's Hospital doesn't sit well with some South Aussies. Special laws will be introduced to allow it to proceed. Heritage advocate Keith Conlon says it makes a mockery of our heritage protection processes.
There's 10 buildings there, and they've been there since 1917. If they're not sacrosanct, what next? It would appear that now there is a sort of, if you come up with a good enough thing and a good economic argument, then maybe you can.
Legislation will be introduced into federal parliament to establish a national anti-corruption watchdog. Michael Packey reports from Canberra.
Labor believes its proposed Integrity Commission will build resilience in our democracy. The body will have an initial budget of $262 million. The Albanese government says the commission will have broad scope to conduct investigations into politicians, their staffers and bureaucrats. It'll also be able to call on union officials, business leaders and lobbyists to testify. The commission's investigations can be retrospective, they can be held in public or private, and whistleblowers would be protected.
Drivers are being encouraged to shop around as they fill up the petrol tank before the return of the full fuel excise. The levy will be restored tomorrow and will eventually see prices rise 25 cents a litre. Compare the Market's Chris Ford says drivers should fill up when they can and use fuel comparison apps to find the best deal.
Sydney average is now one of the highest average prices in the country at the pump, north of $1.90. But it's only going to get worse in the next couple of weeks. The impact shouldn't be felt straight away, but it's going to come. You can bet your bottom dollar on that.
The UN's nuclear watchdog says new explosions and shelling have hit a power plant in Ukraine under Russia's occupation. The BBC's Bethany Bell reports.
The IAEA said 2 explosions occurred near a water channel which supplies the plant's cooling system. The IAEA said Ukrainian staff had told them the cause is still unclear and is being investigated. On Monday, there was shelling near the facility's electrical switchyard, but there were no reports of damage. The head of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, said the incidents underlined the urgent need to establish a protection zone around the site to reduce the risk of a nuclear accident.
And Adelaide has taken out the top honour at Gourmet Travellers' annual awards. Restaurant Botanic named the best in the country. Now to 5AA Sport.
New Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And it's good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Mel. Let's start with some football. Shocking new allegations of racism have emerged about the Hawthorn Football Club, with the football department likened to the Russian mafia. Christina Hearn is at Hawthorn headquarters.
Former Hawthorn senior coach Alastair Clarkson and then assistant coach Chris Fagan and others have been accused of running the football department like the Russian mafia by another coach turned whistleblower. They've also been accused of bullying and intimidating Indigenous players. These allegations are being made in a report into the club's handling of Indigenous players. The Herald Sun has obtained a full copy of that report. It's claimed that the bullying in some instances was so bad it amounted to human rights abuses. Clarkson and Fagan have vehemently denied allegations of racism.
Meantime, Dane Zorko is set to stick with the Brisbane Lions for another year. After signing a contract extension, 2023 will be the captain's 12th season with the club. To basketball, the Opals have had another win last night at the World Championships. Australia too strong for Japan, 71-54. That result means they finish on top of Group B. And the teams have been released for the NRL Grand Final, which will be played between the Parramatta Eels and Penrith Panthers. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy 17 for your Wednesday, partly cloudy tomorrow 19, Friday much the same 19, and then mostly sunny and 21 on Saturday. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast. 5 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday, the 28th of September. It's going to be a big morning on FIVEAA Breakfast. The Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, will join us after 8 o'clock today. We'll talk about this new Women's and Children's Hospital site. It hasn't moved a long way, but it's moved a long way in terms of cost, in terms of when it'll be delivered, and in terms of potential size down the track as well. So lots to get into with him after 8 o'clock today. Rita Wilson's going to join us on the program as well. She's releasing a new album of duets. Of course, she and her husband Tom Hanks, when in Australia, very much felt like it kick-started real widespread public concern about COVID when they had contracted it and were locked away in a hotel room. So now, and back in happier times, she's got this new album full of the biggest names in music. She'll talk to us about how that all came together. We're really looking forward to that chat a little bit later in the morning. But we wanted to start off with a developing story in South Australia at Echunga. I just want to read you a SES flood emergency warning for Echunga, because I've never read one that's worded quite like this before. They've been monitoring a potential dam failure overnight. And I'll just read it verbatim. This dam failure emergency warning message is issued for Echunga. A dam is failing in Echunga, which will threaten you and your family's safety. What you should do, follow your emergency plan, prepare your family and home for flooding in your area, move items of value to a safe place. If your plan is to leave, if you require time to leave, or if you're not prepared, you should consider leaving now. Only leave if you are certain that a path is clear to a safer place. This is the sort of language we associate with bushfires in South Australia, not typically with floods. The suggestion from the SES is people relocate to the home of a family or friend outside the warning area or to a safer place at the Echunga Football Club. The warning area is basically the heart of Echunga. It's a staggering story. It's developed overnight. The SES have been monitoring it, but it doesn't sound like it's under control. Senior Constable Kylie Simpson's on the line with the latest for us. Kylie, good morning to you. You guys obviously keeping a close eye on this. What's the latest?
Good morning, we are. Yeah, I just spoke to the Ford commander, and at the moment the dam's still in place, but it is pretty imminent that it will break its bank. So we just want everyone to really adhere to that emergency warning, and we have got some road closures in place around there, which is Aldgate, Strathalbyn Road to Echunga Road, Batunga Road and Meadows Road, Strathalbyn and Sophia Street, and also Churchill Road and Old Mount Barker Road. So we just want really people to avoid the area and definitely follow the instructions on that warning. Relocate to family if you can, or the safe place is the Echunga Football Club. So obviously we don't want, to overly have people, rushing, but we do, want them to take action, and that has been developing overnight. There'd been some act and watch warnings probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock last night, so I'm pretty sure most of the local residents there really have an understanding of what's going on, but yeah, there is some door knocking going on at the moment.
As you were talking, Kylie, I was just looking at the aerial map of Echunga. I can't specify any dam within the centre of town. Can you give us a sense as to where it is and how big it is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's in Mariana Street, and I think the problem is that might be sort of at the top of a hill or the top of the street, so it's more that the water will be coming down. So yeah, that's where it is exactly on. Yeah, if you look on your map, it's sort of the bigger one.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah,
right up the top.
Yeah,
at the eastern end of Mariana Street.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's
a big
the one.
Open paddock. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So they have been working really hard overnight to try and maintain it, but it's not going to be maintained.
Wow. Kylie, thank you for that. We'll check in with you again in about half an hour's time and get the latest on that situation. But yeah, I went to bed last night, and it was one that the SES were attending to. But waking up this morning, the watch and act equivalents that we're so used to when it comes to fire danger season, they've been upgraded. This is now clearly a quite serious developing situation, and not one we're altogether familiar with here in South Australia. Flood issues.
It looks like it's about 5,000 square metres as well. It's about the size of 5 old quarter-acre blocks.
Last I saw, Echunga has a population of about 1,100 people. 2016 census. It's a significant number of people potentially affected by this.
If you're in Echunga, give us a ring too.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Will. Good morning.
I'm sorry.
Dramatic start to the day.
It certainly is.
Hopefully not that dramatic. And you'd think word would get around in a town like Echunga.
Yes.
That, people would be... With the warning in place probably came as a result of people in the town contacting the police and, the Weather Bureau and saying, hey, there's an issue here. So you'd think everyone...
There'd be trucks everywhere. You'd imagine too. SES police presence as well. But you're right. If you're in Echunga or the surrounding area and you've seen what's happening there, give us a call. let us know how you're bearing up and what the situation is as it develops. 8223 0000, text us on the Automasters text line.
As Will mentioned before, we've got the Premier, Peter Malinauskas, coming on the show after 8 o'clock. As night follows day, the location of this hospital has caused some consternation among Adelaide's heritage community. Former 5AA presenter Keith Conlon has been the most vociferous about it. He's out there saying that this is a tragedy.
Thin edge of the wedge.
Yeah,
is all Keith's saying.
Yeah, the fact that it's going to be built on the police barracks site. I really wonder to what extent South Australians have an emotional connection with the barracks, or indeed even know where they are or what they look like. You know, and this isn't to say we go around raising buildings of value. I can think of so many buildings that are special in this city. I can think of others. I mean, where we sit, Will, 1983, directly opposite where I'm pointing now to my due left, where there's now an ugly building, 5-storey building. So it's so 80s it needs shoulder pads, the building they put up for this financial services company. Needs shoulder pads and big hair. The Aurora Hotel, one of the most beautiful hotels in the city of Adelaide, and they knocked it down to make way for this soulless office complex. So we need to protect our heritage, but even I think if you make the argument that the barracks are of value, are of some architectural value, isn't the more important thing that we actually do need a proper women's and children's hospital in the best possible spot?
With population growing at some point, things have to give. Now, I think in defence of my former colleague Keith Conlon, I think what he's saying is this necessitates a change to the legislation. So what's the value of heritage listing of anything then? So if they change the law, I think his point is that you're just laying the groundwork for subsequent governments to make all sorts of decisions based on things that might not be as important as women's and children's hospitals.
So that you might say, well, hang on, we've got this overseas investor that's going to spend $2 billion building the tallest apartment tower Australia's ever seen, and unfortunately for Ayers House, that's where it has to go.
Possibly. Yeah, if the law's been... I actually think politically it sets up a fascinating question because... So the government's gone out saying, we want to do this and we're going to change it. Now, if you look at the crossbench in the upper house, well, the Greens aren't going to be on board. The SA Best are full of people that like preservation of the parklands and the heritage listing. They've been defensive of those positions before. The way I look at it, and I'm happy to be someone to text us and say, no, I'll support the government on this. I reckon the Libs will have to come to the party. Now, they could be obstructionist and problematic and say, you know, this is a bad plan. We've got a better plan. Ours would have been delivered by 2026 and wouldn't have bulldozed any of these buildings. But do you want to be the party that's voting against a new women's and children's hospital? So I think the politics is suddenly a really interesting question.
Conversely, though, is it an opportunity for the Libs to say Labor can't be trusted? Look what they did with the RA.
Of course.
And go out crazy brave and say we're going to die in a ditch to stop this terrible hospital that is wrong for reasons 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5.
My sense is that Labor are gambling. Because this is a huge gamble to go out and announce this. When you haven't, I can't see how they've possibly shored up support to get it through Parliament to this point.
I think there's a bigger political question here. Who runs the state? Is it the government of the day that's just won in a landslide? Or is it the upper house? Is it the Heritage Lobby? Is it the City Council? And really, I mean, some of the things that the Heritage Lobby have fired up about, that Shed 2016 down in Port Adelaide. Like, seriously, that's part of our heritage if you like things that are made out of rotten, untreated pine, corrugated iron and asbestos.
Like, there are so many beautiful buildings down in Port Adelaide that I think are no-brainer heritage listings. Along St Vincent Street, some of those warehouses that have stone facades and things that are just spectacular. I struggled with that one.
It was just bizarre, wasn't it?
But there is... Well, let's ask the people this morning. Do you have a reflexive issue with the Thebarton Barracks being bulldozed for the new women's and children's hospital? The argument that the state government will make with the Premier later is it's bigger, we can expand it more, it doesn't take up the space that the new RA does, the new RA's potential expansion space like it would have, so this is future-proofing the public health system. That's their argument for it. The argument against it is you have to change the heritage listing laws and bulldoze the Thebarton Barracks. Are you happy with that, or are you unhappy with it? let us know, 8223 0000.
A bigger question too might be, if I could put my house and my own life through Centre Bet on the new Women's and Children's Hospital costing up to $3.2 billion, I would unload right now.
Taking the over?
Oh, no way it's going to cost less than $3.2 billion.
By 2031.
How on earth do we know? How long, is the war in Ukraine over by then? What are petrol prices? Has the future Tanya Plibersek government abolished fuel excise for the third time?
Where are interest rates at?
Yeah.
Where's inflation at?
Yeah. What would the new Chinese-controlled Taiwanese government have to say about all these things? Like, who knows what the world's going to look like?
Yep. Tony in Seaton's called in. Morning, Tony.
How you going, boys?
Good, mate.
Look, I've got a quick solution for the hospital. I think we've got so many empty buildings in the city. Why can't we just vacate tenants out of some of them, and then just use the latest building we've got there in the city, fix it up, and make it plausible for a child's hospital?
I think there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into building a children's hospital. I'm not sure you can just repurpose office accommodation, but
I suppose Tony might have been thinking like what they did with things like Tom's Court Hotel and that, but keeping sick people in a room is harder from keeping ICU-type kids alive.
So advanced buildings these days, modern hospitals. The technology in them is just extraordinary. Doug in Blakeview, good morning.
Yeah, good day, guys. All I'd say is spare a thought for the parents of seriously ill children who need a new hospital, and everyone just seems to be playing politics with it all. So just get it done, hey? I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't fall into that category. Thank heavens for that. So, yeah.
No, well said, mate. Absolutely. Anyone who goes into the old women's and children's, we had to tell you, there's a reason why we're committing $3 billion to a new one. So putting it back and back all the time, yeah, it's only hurting kids who need the facility between now and when? Well, 2031, so 9 years' time. Stacey in Richmond, good morning.
Good morning. I'm definitely against it. I've had a very sick child all my life, so I spent so much time at the children's with him. But at the same time, are we going to be known for the state that is so disposable of our heritage now? And after coming out last night from having heart surgery myself, I think, hey, they were going to use Brompton for the footy. Why can't they look at places like that?
How you bearing up this morning, Stacey? How you feeling?
I have been given a new chance of life. Nat, I'm tired, and you can't change my other diagnosis, but I'm just so grateful for all the doctors, all the care teams that I had that helped me to get through Monday.
Stacey, we're glad you're well enough to have called us, and we wish you all the best in the rest of your recovery. That's remarkable. Surgery yesterday.
Love when Stacey calls in.
That's terrific.
We've had a few calls from Stacey.
19 minutes after 6, we're going to take a short break. News headlines and sport next.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide Tech Guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
If you're looking to upgrade your laptop, choose the best new laptop of 2022, HP's Envy X360. For starters, it's a 2-for-1 device, which means it's a laptop with a flip screen to make it more like a tablet. It comes with 16 gig of RAM and a 512 gig solid-state drive. Basically, it's fast and reliable with great speeds for Zoom calls, web browsing and all the best online office software. The Envy is thin and light too. It has a micro-edge display giving you more screen space. Make your family jealous with the beautifully designed HP Envy, available now at Harvey Norman for only $1,999. Plus, you'll score a bonus $200 Harvey Norman gift card.
Check out this great offer at 5AA.com.au. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
20 years ago, Toyota set the standard for hybrid vehicles with the iconic Prius. Today, they're still leading the way with their Toyota hybrid technology for a cleaner, greener future for all Australians. Jarvis Toyota is Adelaide's home of hybrid. They can get you behind the wheel of your own small, medium or large sedan or SUV with best-in-class fuel economy. Work towards a better future together with Jarvis Toyota. South Road, Clovelly Park, Adelaide's home of hybrid.
I'm Professor Jodie Dodd, a clinical director at the Women's and Children's Hospital. South Australia's population is growing, and we need our hospitals to grow with us. The state government is building a brand new Women's and Children's Hospital. It will be even bigger than first planned, and located near the Royal Adelaide Hospital, on a site that leaves both hospitals with room for future expansion when we need it. With the new Women's and Children's Hospital, we're thinking for the long term. We have big plans for better care for generations to come. To see our plans for the future, visit newwch.sa.gov.au.
Authorised by the Government of South Australia, Adelaide.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide, for Adelaide. 9 News.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
21 after 6. We're going to park the news headlines because the news of the morning is that South Australia wants to talk about the new Women's and Children's Hospital site. We have a record number of texts in the first 10 minutes of the show. You can call in as well, 8223 0000. And as always, you guys set the agenda, and there's clearly the appetite to talk about this move, and it is a controversial one, and it's dividing the state. Let's get into some of these Automasters texts.
Here we go. Exactly, Dave. We need a women's and children's hospital, not a police barracks. That's from Terry in Henley Beach. One here. G'day, lads. The past is the past, but children of the future. Build the hospital and bulldoze the cop shop. Another one here. Doze the barracks, build the hospital. That's from Josh. One here from Gordon. Says the Labor government under Malinauskas is now showing its true agenda, now be known as the Environment and Heritage Vandals of SA. We'll see in 3 years' time. And also he says Chris Picton becoming minister was a case of jobs for the boys. Thank you, Gordon. Adrian says, so our state Labor government is going to spend/waste hundreds of millions on another hospital when the new RA is paying $1 million a day in interest on services and went way over budget to build the thing in the first place. We're still paying for the desal plant, so heaven help our future generations in paying off the crippling debt Labor keeps creating. Thank you.
It's another text from Sam on the Automasters text line. Says, not as if Labor do the new hospitals that well. The RA was over budget and was never large enough. Surely in all of inner Adelaide there is another location. I think a big part of it... Now, this is something I want to ask the Premier about a little bit later in the morning. The buzzword we heard when the new Women's and Children's Hospital was first launched was co-location. The idea that it had to be next to the general hospital because when there are incidents in, say, childbirth or with mothers and they need to be rushed to a full-blown emergency department, they've historically had to drive from North Adelaide to the... North Terrace. It's safer for... The primary concern when this was first announced, I remember it clearly because I never heard the co-location turn of phrase before, was that was for patient safety. So I imagine there is still an impetus to have them as close as possible. There is some clinical guidance for that.
And that's where I struggle with the heritage part of it. The idea that, well, you know, that might be the dream, but if we can just put it, you know, a little bit further up the road. So, okay, so the building trumps the safety of the woman who's just had a massive bleeding incident.
Absolutely. All right, let's we'll keep these texts coming in, folks, and keep registering your position because rare we get an occasion where the audience feels like they're split down the middle. People who are happy to have it built there where the barracks are, and others saying no. That's trashing the history and the heritage of the state. 8223 0000. Text us on 0248 08 1395. We'll talk sport for a moment. Tom Wren's in the studio. New Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year cap price servicing. Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Look, boys, this is a story that's been, doing the rounds, for a good week or so now, but the fresh allegations, I suppose, or, what we've seen on the front page with the Hawthorn Football Club, a former assistant coach accusing Chris Fagan, Alistair Clarkson and Jason Burt, who was their head of footy at the time of running it like a Russian mafia. It's only dredging up. It sort of feels like they're very different, I'm aware, but sort of feels like the Crows Gold Coast sort of camp all over again. I mean, this is just going to be...
Times 1,000.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, the thing is...
I just mean in terms of public reaction and the way it's going to be analysed... to the nth degree.
So Robbo's got the entire report out of Melbourne, Mark Robinson. The thing that is striking is when you actually read the first-person testimony of the female Aboriginal woman, the partner of one of the players who had the abortion. You read it and you just go, wow, 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 about people coming to her house, about her having a conversation with her partner in the morning where he's incredibly happy that she's pregnant. Then something changes during the day. He dumps her over the phone. Now, we knew aspects of this, but what we haven't seen is this woman telling it all in her own words. And when you get to the end of it, you think, okay, so this woman is either the most accomplished fantasist in all of human history, or Fagan, Clarkson, and Bert are in much, much more trouble than I thought. Because if they signed off on any of this and it was the way that woman described it, it's totally inexcusable.
And Fagan has, in the past couple of days, appointed a legal team to get him through what I suspect is going to be a pretty stressful, indefinite period, probably 6 to 8 weeks, perhaps longer. I don't know.
It's just the scale of this is, and this is the minor concern. The major concern is getting to the bottom of what happened and getting justice for people if they were wronged, or justice for the accused if they've been wronged in this.
Yeah.
But broadly, as an AFL issue, the magnitude of this is unbelievable. How does next season happen with two coaches of sides in the AFL potentially fighting a legal battle of this that's going to play out in the papers every single week?
Well, it'll distract Hawthorn, because there'll be people at Hawthorn who are being called in, Brisbane as well, and then North Melbourne must just be going, what? What did we do something bad in a past life as a football club?
I mean,
the other thing too, it's going to turn into a lawyer's picnic. I mean, the fact that Peter Gordon is heading it up, like, this has got sort of, what's his name? The guy from The Simpsons? Troy McClure? No, the lawyer.
Lionel Hutz.
Like all these sort of plaintiff lawyers, personal injury lawyers, all crawling all over this story. They've got a vested interest in making it last as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, and you're right about North Melbourne. 6 weeks ago, they were probably the most happy and relieved and bullish club. They just made this major announcement. It was shades of Ron Barassi when he came to the football club. This great coach coming to their club, and now it's a disaster.
Yeah, it is. You really
At least for now, anyway.
Yeah, I just can't foresee how this gets sorted out before next season. I don't know how this isn't a storyline that's dragging on.
It's hard to see it
week to week next year.
We will try and talk some happier football tomorrow or Friday, because there's a big AFLW showdown. So we'll try and have some positive news a little bit later in the week.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
fascinating to see what kind of crowd they get.
Yeah, me too.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
10-year warranty, 10-year cap price servicing. Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth, and Elizabeth.
Hey, you in the car. If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
One of the most special sounds in existence. 140 million monarch butterflies reaching their wintering grounds. Unaware they'll never live to see another stylish wicker egg chair for only $199. Weather resistant with a steel frame and comfy pillows. It's special you can buy at Aldi's Special Buys Outdoor Sale this Saturday. Flutter over to aldi.com.au for product availability in your state. Aldi. Good. Different.
I'm Kathy Nagel, Chief Executive of Western Hospital Henley Beach. Chronic diseases may cause heart and vascular conditions that, left untreated, can cost you your life. Western Hospital offers a wide range of cardiology and vascular interventions which may prevent disease and could help prolong your life. Interventions range from cardiovascular health checks to diagnostic interventions like angiogram and stenting. For more information, visit westernhospital.com.au or phone 8159 1200 to arrange a referral.
When shopping around for hearing aids, the main sound you'll hear is... But not at Specsavers, where you don't have to pay top dollar for top-of-the-range hearing aids. Just book a free 15-minute hearing check at specsavers.com.au/hearing. Then maybe you could use those savings to hear something more pleasant like... Should have gone to Specsavers. Conditions apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 17 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
A state of emergency in the hills this morning. The SES has issued a dam failure emergency message for the residents of Echunga. It's for the farm dam on Mariana Street. The walls are sagging on one side, 500 metres from the township. An evacuation centre has been established at the Echunga Football Club. Senior Constable Kylie Simpson says the situation could change at any time.
At the moment, the dam's still in place, but it is pretty imminent that it will break its bank. So we just want everyone to really adhere to that emergency warning.
There's been a house fire at Gillis Plains. The alarm was raised at Wandana Avenue around 3:30 this morning. One person escaped the home unhurt. If you need to change your driver's licence in the wake of the Optus cyber attack, there'll be no replacement fee. The state government is waiving the $20 charge. Meantime, the FBI is helping agencies investigate the hack, which has impacted up to 10 million Australians. There's a lot of opposition to 10 heritage-listed buildings being bulldozed to make way for the new Women's and Children's Hospital. Special laws will be introduced to Parliament to allow demolition of the Theberton Police Barracks. It would speed up the planning process and construction, but Greens MP Robert Sims has flagged strong opposition.
If they're planning on trashing our heritage protection laws, they're going to face one hell of a fight in the Parliament.
Federal politicians are being warned to be afraid as Labor introduces legislation to establish an anti-corruption watchdog. Michael Packey has more.
The $262 million National Anti-Corruption Commission will have broad powers to investigate. It'll be retrospective and can decide if it'll hold public or private hearings. The Commission will be able to compel politicians, their staffers, bureaucrats and third parties, like union officials and lobbyists. Whistleblowers will be protected. After the legislation is introduced, it'll be scrutinised before it heads back into Parliament for a final vote either at the end of this year or early next.
Millions of Americans have been ordered to evacuate their homes as Hurricane Ian approaches Florida. US correspondent Jonathan Kersley.
Hurricane Ian has already been dubbed the worst-case scenario by the Mayor of Tampa, and already traffic is snaking out of the city. Barriers have gone up and sandbags are being filled. 8 million people are in the path of the storm, which has already had its effects felt in Cuba. In the US, military bases could be used to offer assistance, while the President, Joe Biden, says his administration is on alert. So too are the people of Florida.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide's women will hit the training track this evening as they prepare for Friday night's historic AFLW showdown. The Crows will be heavy favourites to take out the first ever meeting between the two clubs in the competition, with the Power hoping to replicate what the men's side did way back in 1997. Well, the AFL Players Association has voiced concern about reported additional behavioural clauses being imposed on footballers by clubs. It comes after Jordan De Goey rejected a contract offer from Collingwood that was over its behavioural clauses after he was involved in several off-field incidents. AFLPA General Manager Brett Murphy says the additional measure is unnecessary.
You have a standard playing contract, a player's code of conduct that contain clauses which deal with player conduct issues, that have allowable sanctions for players in these kinds of instances. And from our perspective, that should be it. There's no need for clubs to go beyond that in respect of any individual player.
Richmond's Tom Lynch has been awarded the Jack Dyer Medal for 2022, and after a lengthy tribunal hearing, Geelong's Georgie Prespakis has had her two-match ban for a dangerous tackle upheld. To basketball, the Opals have topped their group at the Women's World Cup following a 71-54 point win against Japan. They'll play against Belgium in the quarter-finals tomorrow night. And in some cricket to finish, South Australia will be looking to continue its good early season form when it takes on Tasmania in a one-dayer which begins early this afternoon in Brisbane. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy, 17 today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 19. Friday, much the same, 19 as well. Right now it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
25 to 7, it's a fired up Adelaide on this Wednesday morning. Things getting really snippy online at the moment on the Foodland Supermarkets, Facebook and YouTube live stream as well.
Hasn't it forever been thus?
Yes.
Okay, let's rewind almost a decade ago. Yeah, let's give our beloved Adelaide Oval the once-over. No. If I go to watch the Shield, I like an uninterrupted view of the Adelaide Hills. Get out of here. And they're off. Old Adelaide, New Adelaide, the young, the old, generally. It's the battle that has historically defined our town. And I mentioned the Aurora Hotel in 1983. That was a watershed moment. And, I think part of the difficulty in discussing these things is, when you try to take a sort of middle approach and say, well, okay, let's just sort of assess things on their merits, which is my general approach. I mean, the idea that someone's going to turn up and build apartments in the parklands was briefly being floated by the former Marshall government is absurd. Equally, though, do we stop a hospital because there's an old building there that no one outside of a Keith Conlon walking tour has ever seen?
Troy on Facebook makes the exact point. He says, never underestimate Adelaide's ability to complain about the building of anything. Only place in the world that would find a complaint about a new hospital. Can't wait for the spend the money fixing roads mob to chime in. On the other side of the equation, there's a host of people saying this is heritage vandalism, but we'll get to some more of your feedback shortly. 8223 0000 or text us on the Automasters text line. First, we're off to the UK. Vincent McAviney is, I suspect, the busiest man in the world of journalism. The period of mourning for the Queen is now past, and the Brits are embroiled now in this economic predicament with the pound collapsing and cost of living being a real issue. Vincent, good morning to you, mate.
Good morning.
Geez, Vincent, journalistically, you've got a new king to cover, you've got a new prime minister to cover, and what looks like the pending collapse of the national currency. No shortage of stories for you to get your teeth into.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like NASA was playing with fire yesterday trying to redirect that asteroid because, by our luck, it would have come straight for Great Britain in the year that we're having. But the only thing we haven't had to deal with. This has been quite a dramatic few days. Basically, Liz Truss's government launched after that period of mourning with this huge tearing up of about 4 decades of orthodoxy when it comes to British fiscal policy and how to run the economy. They basically decided to move to what they're sort of dubbing privately as sort of Singapore on Thames, of having low regulation, scrapping all sort of EU laws, race to the bottom, somewhat some would say, and cutting taxes, cancelling plans for other tax increases and other new taxes that were coming in to fund the health service. And the reaction here was strong, but the reaction internationally was huge because they wouldn't give the costings for this, they wouldn't give the forecasts. And so what we saw yesterday was that the Asian markets, which were closed obviously over the weekend, reacted very strongly, not confident that the UK was doing the right thing, perhaps, that it was going to increase national debt because, of course, if you're not raising taxes, but you're continuing to spend and increase some areas of spending, then that means you need to borrow. And the rate at which the 2-year yield, so the price at which the government can borrow money, had gone up to above 4% interest. Now, that is more than currently Italy and Greece, 2 previous financial crisis countries. And so there was real shock in international markets that the UK was going to pursue this course, mount the debt on, not do as many European countries have done, which is put a windfall tax on the energy companies, which themselves are worried about the PR damage that is being done because of their excessive war profits. They themselves said that they were happy to take a bigger tax burden, but it wouldn't affect investment. So that is something that Liz Truss's government is unwilling to do. And so we've seen a real slide in the pound. It went almost at one point to parity, $1 to £1. When you think back in 2007, just before the financial crisis, it was around $2 to a pound. So it has been a real fall in sterling over this period of Conservative government.
What's it like on the street, Vincent? What's the sort of, the people who read the Mirror and, eat at the sort of old greasy spoon cafes, the working class people in the East End and so on? Well, I suppose the East End's probably quite yuppified these days, but is it?
That's where I live.
Everyone's at Borough Market eating chorizo. But is it palpable, the sense of anxiety over the impact it's having on people's hip pocket?
I think there's huge anxiety because I think this is so drastic and it's sort of an economic blitzkrieg. Even if you were doing this in normal time, which it doesn't feel like it has been for a long time, it would be a lot. But this is post-Brexit. This is post-pandemic. This is whilst war is happening in Europe and there is already a cost of living and energy crisis, that this is yet another thing. And the thing I didn't even touch on, the thing that is affecting people is that suddenly a load of banks yesterday stopped issuing mortgages because they think that the Bank of England, which it says is going to act robustly when it needs to, they think that it could be at the next interest rate rise, which, in June, I think the rate was only down at, I think it was down at 1.25 and now it's at 3.5. They're talking about it going up to 6% in the next year, with in November a full percentage point increase, putting hundreds of pounds on people's mortgages in a country where we haven't really had those kind of rates since back in the 90s. So it is having a huge effect on people, on the housing market here. Rents have already been shooting up, and if the owner of property is buy to let, then they've got a mortgage on that, where that is going to, their costs are going to be passed on. So there is a real concern that this winter is going to be hard enough, but the Conservatives are deciding potentially to inflict more pain. And as Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, said today, a bit of a gift for him at his conference, higher interest rates for people paying mortgages, which will knock onto renters, higher government interest on debt, effects across the economy, big costs for importers, and who is it benefiting? Less than 1% of the population, which they've cancelled the top rate of taxes on, whereas the rest of us don't seem to be getting much, if anything, out of this. And what is this really all for? This earthquake, it's not, it is the Conservative, it's a very right-wing wing of the Conservative Party still believing that trickle-down economics is a thing. And I think it was interesting that, Liz Truss at the UN General Assembly this week did sort of say, the rest of the world needs to follow the UK. Very pointedly on the same day, President Biden tweeted out, quite frankly, I've had enough of the decades of people being lied to about trickle-down economics. So it is going to be an interesting thing to see, but I think it's going to be, it was already shaping up to be a difficult winter. I think it is going to make things even trickier if the pound, it has gained a bit again today, but if the markets aren't confident. And there is also the problem that Liz Truss doesn't have the majority support of her party. Whilst the members voted for her, the party voted Rishi Sunak, who said if she does this, which she signposted she might do, it was fairy tale economics that wouldn't work. She won't necessarily get this through the Commons, which could be even worse. If her own MPs don't put this through, then the markets might really think that Britain's in a sort of screwed up position, and then that could have more consequences.
Extraordinary times and a great report. Vincent, thank you. Vincent McAviney, our man in London, for remarkable situation. I continue to look at projected power bills for people in London, and it looks like they've got the decimal point in the wrong spot. I just don't know how people live at the moment. Much closer to home, we're monitoring the situation at Echunga, where the SES issued a really concerning flood emergency warning earlier today. If you've been following this story from about 7 o'clock last night, the SES were on the scene monitoring a dam on private property they were concerned might burst. This morning the language has changed. It's sounding like it will burst, and people are being evacuated out of the area and being recommended they go to the Echunga Football Club as a safer place, or to a friend's home, or somewhere out of the township. We're going to check in with SAPOL shortly and the SES a little bit later. So if you've just woken up and you're wondering what the latest is on that story, the SES are at the scene. They're getting people out of the area. They're warning people to prepare for floods if they are going to stay. The language sounds like a bushfire that's heading towards Echunga, except it's going to be floodwaters as a byproduct of this burst dam. But we'll get you across it. We're watching the situation, and we'll cross live to it a little bit later in the morning. But if you want more information, stick around, because after the break, we'll chat with SAPOL about what the latest is, including the road closures around the area as they try and stave off the problem. Let's check traffic broadly before you head off on your road trip to do the fun stuff. Let RAA take care of the car stuff.
Good morning, chaps. Roads are wet in a few spots on the way to work, so do take it nice and easy and look out for a burst water main at Netley. You'll find that Marion Road near Watson Avenue. And we've got another burst water main. This one's at Belair Main Road near Manouta Drive. Works are continuing in the East Parklands, currently affecting Kettleville Terrace, Flinders Street and Bartels Road. And we're busy right now, South Road at Karata Park. Keep an eye out for camera 2, Brooker Terrace at Richmond. Wants a delicious meal or snack? Head to Guzmati Gomez for the nacho fries, just $9.90. Yes, nacho fries, just $9.90 at GYG for a limited time only. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The next generation of mighty South Aussies have spoken.
Equal rights for everyone.
Oceans without junk in them.
No nasty chemicals in things.
Search Sustainable 7 to hear more about what the future's got in store for Foodland.
The cost of living down. Simply pick up today's advertiser for an exclusive offer from Coles when you scan your Flybys. Today only. Limits, exclusions and T&Cs apply.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available now on the Nissan Navara SL 4x4 Dual Cab Auto with more models to come. Plan confidently for the road ahead with Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Across SA, there's bound to be an independent RAA-approved repairer close by. There's over 450. They're ready to assist with servicing, mechanical problems, crash repairs and specialty jobs. They're audited to RAA's high standards, giving you peace of mind that your car's in good hands. So, before you head out on your next road trip to do the fun stuff, let RAA take care of the car stuff. Search RAA Motor for more.
Keep on moving on.
RAA-approved repairers are independent service providers, not agents of RAA. Terms and conditions apply. Available from RAA.
G'day, it's Mark Bickley. When you buy a Leader computer, you're buying a computer made right here in Adelaide. You're dealing with people that live in Adelaide, and when it comes to servicing or support, it all happens here in Adelaide. Not overseas, not interstate. Unlike some others, Leader don't have to send anything off for repair. They take care of everything right here. It makes sense to live life local. Live life Leader. Leader Computers. Find your local dealer at leadersystems.com.au.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. FIVEAA Breakfast.
13 to 7. Always feels like a good omen when the sun emerges from behind the clouds and shines onto us here in Highmarsh Square when we're about to do the weather report. Makes me feel like we're going to have a good day. Tom Bowick is the senior forecaster with all the information for us this morning. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, good, thanks, Dave. Good, and Will, thanks. Yeah.
How's Wednesday shaping up?
Yeah, look, I think it'll probably be less showery than yesterday. We ended up being pretty wet yesterday in time. So, look, there's still a little bit of light shower activity moving over the metropolitan area from the south, and there has been some shower activity overnight. So, yeah, but as I said, I think there'll be less around today, and anything will be pretty sort of light and likely to be clearing away as we move into the afternoon period as well. Still a pretty cool day coming up, though, with that southerly airstream. 17 degrees for a maximum for Adelaide, Elizabeth, Glenelg. Just 14 at Mount Barker, 16 at Noarlunga. A couple of dry days coming up for Thursday and Friday. Temperature up a couple of degrees with some southeasterly winds, probably relatively light for most of the period. 19 degrees. Look, long weekend's not looking too bad. The only sort of slight interruption, I suppose, there's a chance of an afternoon shower about the hills on Saturday there. But I think there'll be a reasonable amount of sunshine around from time to time for Saturday, Sunday. Maximum temperatures up at 21, so that's pretty nice. And Monday, 22 degrees and a chance of a late shower. It might be so late that it's on Tuesday, so it's looking pretty good for that day as well. Tuesday, however, the showers are back 22 degrees before the showers sort of start cooling the temperature off somewhat, but yeah, so a mild start there. But yeah, temperatures in the low 20s for the long weekend, and it should be pretty well mainly dry for most of it there, guys.
Beautiful. Sounding terrific, Tom. Good stuff, mate.
Good on you, Tom. Tom Bowick, senior forecaster at the Bureau. Let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable Kylie Simpson, we spoke to at 6:05 about the situation in Echunga. What's the latest, Kylie?
Yeah, good morning. I just spoke to the Fore Commander again, and the dam is still in place at the moment. So it's the dam on Mariana Street at Echunga, and it's at the top of the hill there. So there are some road closures in place around Aldgate, Strathalbyn Road, Echunga Road, Echunga at Aldgate, Strathalbyn Road, Batunga Road and Meadows Road, Strathalbyn and Sophia Street, Churchill Road and Old Mount Barker Road. But I think just the important thing is to follow the emergency warning message from the SES they are saying that if you can relocate with family outside the warning area, do so. If not, a safe place is the Echunga Football Club. So we ask people to head there if they need to. Just be aware that floodwaters may rise quite rapidly and they're very fast moving. So we do want people to take action now, and if they need to leave, leave. So yeah, it's just an incident, I guess, that's going to be unfolding throughout the day.
So, Kylie, just to clarify, is there a sort of structural concern about the dam that because it's elevated, it might actually burst, or is it more just that the dam is full because of the amount of rain that we've had and it's going to be overflow?
No, I think that they've sort of said it was happening last night that there was a risk of it bursting, and I think they were trying to do some engineering work to eliminate that, but it hasn't happened. So they are saying that it is going to burst. It's just a matter of time. That's why they've got this warning message out.
Kylie, thank you. We're going to speak to the SES now, so we'll get an update from at the scene. Senior Constable Kylie Simpson from SAPOL. David O'Shannessy from the SES is also on the line. David, just sort of paint the picture for us back here in Adelaide about what you're dealing with there in Echunga right now.
Yeah, good morning. So I think you've heard from SAPOL that late yesterday we received a call from a member of the public regarding the integrity of their dam. So we investigated that and monitored it overnight, and also took some precautionary measures to do some controlled release of water to ensure that the integrity wasn't compromised any further. However, overnight, through that investigation and that monitoring, we did see that wall was starting to have more cracks and other damage appear. So we've escalated our warning message to an emergency warning message, advising people that if it's safe to do so, they should relocate themselves just in case that dam wall does fail and the water was to go through that township.
Yeah, because David, looking at it'd be hard to get any sense of what it looks like side on when you're looking at an aerial shot on the Maps app. But the dam wall must be quite elevated to create the fear that if that wall breaks, all the water's going to rush down in a westerly direction towards the town.
Yeah, I think the proximity to the town is one of the reasons why we're taking such precautions with this. If the dam was located, kilometres away from a town, the speed of the water, would end up dissipating and not have such an impact. But because it's so close to the town, regardless of the height and the amount of water, that water will come in with a little bit of force and could cause some damage. And, if someone was out walking their dog, for example, could, sweep them off their feet. So we're just taking all the precautions to make sure the community is safe. We've got all the right people involved, the right support agencies and partner agencies who are there to make sure that the right experts are involved in this and trying to make sure that it doesn't fail. But, as a community-minded agency, we're there to make sure we do everything we can to protect the community.
I know you don't want to speculate, David, but where we're at right now, what's the likelihood that the dam's going to hold up? What are the sort of variables at play that will determine whether it breaks or not?
Look, that's a really hard one. It's quite a unique situation for SES, so we actually rely on advice from some of our partner agencies around that. The damage to the dam wall has increased overnight, or at least we've observed new damage. So, look, we wouldn't have issued a warning if we didn't think there was some possibility that there was a failure. However, like I said, we're doing everything we can to ensure that doesn't occur. So I think at this stage we're just doing everything we can.
And is that
at the moment.
Is that damage that's increased overnight? Is that just a byproduct of pressure building up?
Look, so yeah, private dams are maintained through their owners, and they do a fantastic job at that. But the amount of rain we've had in those catchments, dams get full, the ground gets quite sodden. You get animals digging holes. Animals digging holes. Sorry, late night.
You're right, mate.
Yeah, anything can happen with that. So, look, we've had a couple of instances of this over the last 5 or 6 years, and normally after quite a heavy rainfall event. So 2016 was the last one of note for us, and that was quite a big year for rainfall as well. So it's just that the ground gets sodden, dams get full, and like you said, just the pressure builds up, and we see this happen occasionally.
Okay, it's great information, David. I know you've got a briefing in a couple of minutes' time, so we'll let you catch your voice. And
Can I just throw in one more question? Sorry, David, I know you need a couple of Butter Menthols, mate. And this is a very
you're right, mate.
This only requires a very short answer. You might not even know, though. Do you know how many people have evacuated yet, or is that figure not available yet?
No, I'm hopefully going to get that figure shortly. So no, I don't know how many people have evacuated yet, although I do know that we're well advanced in notifying people and talking to the right people in the community to let them know. So.
Yeah, being a small town, I'm sure word got around last night. Good stuff, David. Thanks for soldiering on through the cough and bringing us all of that excellent detail. And we'll listen in on the briefing later and keep our listeners informed with all the latest developments. Good on you.
David O'Shaughnessy from the SES.
I didn't expect to be coming in today and covering a dam burst in the Adelaide Hills.
Reading the wording of the warning last night, I thought, this sounds sort of serious, but it was all very precautionary, the language. And then the moment we got up this morning, Luce sent me through the latest advice, and it had gone from precautionary to fearing the worst was going to eventuate. And so it's kicked up into another level of seriousness. And you can get a sense of why all those things he said feed into it. Animal damage, sodden ground, lots of rain. I mean, we've had a hell of a lot of it at the moment, and some of this infrastructure wasn't built to withstand that.
Yeah, that's right. It's a small town, and just looking, I mean, you can almost sort of you could have a very casual and short stroll from the eastern end of Mariana Street, where the dam is, to the Echunga Oval there, just off Adelaide Road, Echunga Road rather, on the western side of town. But the elevation is the thing. So we're going to be crossing live there later on in the show too.
I continue to get mountain of texts on the heritage battle of the century here in Adelaide. Feels like it's a little while since we've had one of these sorts of tussles. The women's and children's site at the Thebarton Police Barracks that would require a change to legislation because it'll require the bulldozing of some heritage-listed buildings. Rocco on the Automasters text line says, heritage-listed, a bunch of eyesore, hodgepodge, unattractive buildings. In 60 years, I've only seen the horses in the area as attractive. Thanks, Rocco. Pete in Vale Park says, Adelaide, we'd like a bigger investment into healthcare with updated hospitals. Government. Okay, we'll build a new hospital. Adelaide. Oh, no, we don't want a hospital there. Thank you, Pete. In Vale
It does
Park.
seem to be the case.
It sort of seems to be how it plays out.
One here too, no name, but it says, Dave Ree Hawthorne, the stories published today are just that, stories, not testimony. Testimony is tested. There is no context to the circumstances. Well, testimony is not tested. Testimony is actually where you say, this is what happened to me. Other people can challenge it, but a testimony is a first-person account of what happened to you. It's not evidence being given in a court of law. The key issue here, the reason it's become unmanageable is because it all leaked.
And it's the volume of it. It's not one accusation in isolation. Now, this doesn't make it any more or less accurate, but it's hard to fathom that there's multiple families and a coach who have all conspired to come up with this. Now, maybe they've left out important details, maybe they've left out context, maybe they've misremembered bits, but just the weight of it feels significant.
Yeah, it does. And big thanks to Brent the Milky. You thought I was going to miss this one, Will, before the first hour of our program is up.
Spare Brent his blushes, I thought.
Brent's gone to the trouble of taking a nice photograph of what he describes as a pea super in the Barossa Valley. Good on you, Brent.
He might as well have sent in a photograph of Bigfoot, because it would have been about as realistic as what he just sent in.
The Sasquatch.
2 minutes to 7. 5AA News is coming up. We'll take you through some of these stories in the morning, including heading out to Echunga for the latest on the dam situation there next.
You've signed a building contract. Work is underway on your dream home. Then your builder hits rock while digging your footings. What happens? Most builders will send you a nice letter and then bump up their price with a variation. Not Rossdale Homes. When you sign their absolute fixed price contract, there are no hidden costs and no nasty surprises. It's the industry's strongest contract. So talk to Adelaide's most trusted builder, Rossdale Homes, because trust is a must.
Hey, it's Callum here. Looking for something small, medium or large? Edwardstown Mazda have most models in stock, ready to drive away. You can feel confident in the team at Edwardstown Mazda.
It's gotta be
edwardstownmazda.com.au, LNVD 207428.
Ray White, big name in real estate, but also the biggest name in business broking. What makes us big? Our people, like Brett Buckley and his team. MBA, lecturer, and multi-time SA Business Broker of the Year. Brett doesn't just read a P&L, he feels it. If you're selling or expanding your business, Brett can take your business apart and find you more money. And we're not talking small change. Go on, touch base with Brett. Search Ray White Business Sales SA.
This spring, Audica has value for every ear, with advanced technology hearing aids at more affordable prices.
If you're a private health fund member, get $1,000 off a pair of optimal or premium hearing aids. Just show your health fund member card at your local Audica clinic. If you're over 26, book a free hearing health check at Audica today. Offer ends December 31st, 2022. Call 1-800-HEARING or visit audica.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Aldi's tender porterhouse steak is now only $19.99 per kilo. And there's nothing better than grilling this buttery cut over an open flame. Unless it's 2 a.m, you're in the woods and that is not good. Aldi. Good. Different.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 17 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion has individual sessions and classes claimable on private health and NDIS.
It's all hands on deck at Echunga this morning. The SES has issued a dam failure emergency message for residents. It's for the farm dam on Mariana Street. The walls are sagging on one side. It's about half a K from the township. David O'Shannessy from the SES has told David and Will what's happening.
Late yesterday we received a call from a member of the public regarding the integrity of their dam. So we investigated that and monitored it overnight and also took some precautionary measures to do some controlled release of water to ensure that the integrity wasn't compromised any further.
There's been a $150,000 house fire in the northern suburbs. Rachel Kinlock from the MFS says they were called to Wandana Avenue at Gillis Plains just before 3:30 this morning.
All occupants of the home had safely evacuated prior to MFS arrival. Firefighters quickly commenced an internal attack on the fire and brought the fire under control within 10 minutes. The fire was fully extinguished within a further 30 minutes.
South Australian Optus customers impacted by the data breach will be able to apply for a new driver's licence free of charge. The state government will waive the usual $20 fee. Transport Minister Tom Koutsantonis strongly advises anyone caught up in the hack get a new licence.
You don't want people having your driver's licence number, your date of birth and your address. It's often used as verification in very, very important security checks. My very, very strong advice, if this data has been compromised, it's important you change your driver's licence number.
The US President says his government is ready to help as Florida prepares for Hurricane Ian to make landfall. The storm has already caused widespread damage across Cuba and could strengthen into a Category 4 hurricane before striking the Gulf Coast. Joe Biden has spoken with the mayors of the area likely to be hit to offer assistance.
FEMA has already deployed 700 personnel to Florida, and the governor has activated 5,000 state National Guard with another 2,000 guards coming from other states.
Vietnam has evacuated more than 800,000 people and imposed a curfew as a typhoon bears down on Southeast Asia. The storm has already left 8 dead in the Philippines. Flights and train services have been cancelled, with winds reaching 180 kilometres an hour. The Royals' period of mourning following the death of the Queen has now ended. William and Kate have visited Wales for the first time since they were given their new titles. The now Prince and Princess of Wales travelling to both Anglesey and Swansea. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
New Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Alistair Clarkson, Chris Fagan and other coaches have been accused of running the Hawthorn Football Club like the, quote, Russian mafia. The claim has appeared in the full report into treatment of past and present Indigenous players and staff, and that's been obtained by News Corp. Still on football, Richmond co-captain Dylan Grimes says he's looking forward to potentially having Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper as teammates after they both nominated to move over from GWS.
Hugely positive. I haven't actually met them yet, but I'm really excited to, and they're obviously terrific footballers, so we got that under our belt, but I've heard they're really good blokes as well, so it'd be awesome to have them around Punt Road long term, so yeah, really excited about that.
Meantime, Tom Lynch has been named the winner of the Jack Dyer Medal, 1 vote ahead of Daniel Rioli. In other sport, in Formula 1, the boss of Team Haas is open to Daniel Ricciardo driving for the underperforming team next season, but says he'll have to reach out first. South Aussies Lucy Austin and Georgie Horges have been named in Australia's squad for the upcoming Fast 5 World Championships. They'll be played in New Zealand in November. Full-time in UEFA Nations League matches this morning, with Spain recording a 1-0 win against Portugal. Switzerland got over the Czech Republic 2-1. The Republic of Ireland beat Armenia 3-2, while the Ukraine and Scotland played out a 0-0 draw. Wallabies captain Michael Hooper will return to training with teammates ahead of the spring tour in Europe. He missed the Rugby Championship, explaining he wasn't in the right mindset. And Phil Mickelson and Ian Poulter have dropped out of a lawsuit against the PGA's tour suspension of live defectors. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Got a few damp roads for the drive-in today, so take care. And Park Holme reports of a smash on Oaklands Road near Marion Road. Burst water mains got a couple of those today, including one at Netley, Marion Road near Watson Avenue, and another one at Blair, that's on Main Road near Manouta Drive. Busy right now, South Road at Karata Park with cameras Hardy's Road, Torrensville, and you'll find another one at Seaview Road at Henley Beach. Out and about, fill up with Shell V-Power 98, the premium fuel designed to deliver unbeatable protection for your engine. Fuel the feeling at details online. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, partly cloudy for your Wednesday, 17, partly cloudy tomorrow, 19, the same again on Friday, and then 21 and mostly sunny on Saturday. Right now it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
6 after 7, and good morning to you, and welcome to Wednesday if you're joining us for the first time. 28th of September. Coming up this hour on the program, I'm going to get you across some of the developing stories around Adelaide in just a moment. Then, after 8 o'clock, Rita Wilson will be on the program to talk about her new album that's coming out, a series of duets with some of the biggest names in music, and it's an eclectic bunch too, from Keith Urban to Willie Nelson and a host of others as well, singing songs that neither of them have a natural an obvious writing connection with, so they're sort of third parties to it. Fascinating project, and we'll talk to her about it after 8 o'clock today. And then a little bit later, the Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, on the Women's and Children's Hospital site change that has ignited one hell of a heritage debate in Adelaide at the moment. It's playing out in the text line, it's playing out in the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. And if you'd like to call in and have your say, you're more than welcome to as well on 8223 0000.
My question is, what percentage of South Australians are represented by the people who are up in arms about the heritage aspect of it? Is it 53%? Is it 9%?
If I had to guess, I'd say it's in the 10 to 15% range.
I would too. We've got no way of knowing that.
No.
But certainly not. You can't overlap the public commentary around it with public sentiment around it, because the people who are really upset about it, they are. I mean, today's lead letter in the Advertiser, number one with a bullet. Someone yesterday got the old Olivetti out, type. I've never been so disgusted in my life. Off you go. I would hazard a guess for the next month, the letters pages of the Advertiser will be absolutely clogged with letters from people saying this is the greatest outrage they've ever heard. I mean, Keith Conlon, who have got a hell of a lot of time for, great respect for, but he described it as a tragedy. I mean, tragedy, it's a strong word for a handful of old buildings, isn't it?
Well, let's be clear what a tragedy is. The reason the Women's and Children's moved was because there was 2 women who died during childbirth that they wanted to. They said, we need to co-locate the Women's and Children's Hospital with a full-blown emergency department to make this not happen. Let's not forget that. That's a tragedy.
That is a tragedy.
Phil in Williston has called in. Morning to you, Phil.
There you go, mate. Hey, listen, when they build this hospital, why don't they put it where our road infrastructure is? We've got a brand new highway going down Main South Road. Put the hospital there where they've got access from every corner of Adelaide. Build a full-blown casualty emergency next to it. And then when they do need to extend the RAH, extend it next to the Women and Children's Hospital, where ambulances have 3 lanes of road infrastructure to access from virtually whichever direction they come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Lots of ideas coming through to the program. We're happy to hear them all. 8223 0000. Would you want to get?
I think the best place to put it is where the expert clinicians and doctors say it should go, which seems to be the site that they've picked.
Want to get some more information about the situation at Echunga, which developed overnight and not in a good way. The dam is showing increasing signs of distress there. Evacuations are in place and people are being suggested to get to a safe place, one of those being the Echunga football oval. About 1,100 people call the area home and the flood zone looks like it'll encompass most of the area. The SES well advanced, doing a briefing at the moment. We had a sneak preview just before 7 o'clock, but we'll head to the scene now because our producer and roving reporter extraordinaire, Sam Daddo, is at the scene. Sam, what can you see? How close can you get to the dam?
Morning, guys. So right now, as it sits, I am currently at the corner of Echunga Road and Adelaide Road. So all road closures in place by the police. I drove past the Echunga Footy Club on the way into town. That's getting set up with a bunch of SCS vehicles right now. Sitting here on the corner of Adelaide Road and Echunga Road, steady stream of cars seem to be leaving the township. Now, I am currently waiting for more information. I should be able to get a bit closer soon, but just waiting to hear the all clear from police at the moment.
So, Sam, looking at the map, you are just only probably a couple of 100 metres south from the oval. Have you got a sense yet of how many people are moving? Are there already crowds at the oval, or have you not had a chance to head up the street, up Echunga Road yet to have a look at the oval?
As I said, I drove past the oval. I couldn't see a hell of a lot of people there just yet, but I might, if I'm told to wait a bit longer, I might head back up there to see what the situation's going on at the footy club.
We'll check back in with you very shortly and get a sense of what's happening there, because the SES are hoping for the best, but they're clearly planning for the worst case scenario and getting people out of the area in the event that the dam ultimately does burst after one of the walls sounds like it's buckling at the moment. The other big story, of course, that we're talking about this morning, and we'll get to some of your texts on the Automasters text line, is the Women's and Children's Hospital move. The new location announced yesterday by the Premier. Here he is on 9 News last night.
It would be crazy, in our view, to build a brand new multi-billion-dollar hospital that is outgrown in a decade's time. Every month that goes past, the escalation cost becomes greater.
Yeah, anyone's trying to build an extension or a new house knows all about that at the moment. Here is Dr. Laura Willington, a clinician with the Women's and Children's Hospital.
This has been a long time coming. I think it means that we'll be able to provide care for high-risk women at this hospital, which we previously can't do.
And that's the clinician's view. She too spoke to 9 News last night. Keith Conlon represented the concerns of people who are upset about the proposed changes to the laws governing how heritage buildings can be dealt with. Here he is speaking on 7 News last night.
It's very distressing, personally, because there should never have been an either-or. This is priceless, so go somewhere else.
That's Keith's view. Guy in Highgate begs to differ. Morning, lads. In Adelaide, when it comes to development proposals, the first reaction of the vocal minority is to say no, and then to ask what the question is. Mally knows how to read the room and cut through the noise. South Australians will back this new hospital in their droves. Thank you for that, Guy. Roger says, good morning, guys. As you both know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If we don't build on the Thebarton site, where do you build it? Let's be honest, we need a new hospital. Thanks for that. Keep them coming.
Now, a few people have pointed out that we had a pretty good bit of tea, a bit of rumour in a rumour file going back 2 weeks ago now, where we were giving away the Smeg kettle. We were asking you to give us the tea. We had a lot of good rumours that day. I wonder if you can detect whether any of this one came true in the end.
I can tell you that there are plans afoot to relocate it to where the police maintenance barracks are at the moment.
Where's that? Where's that, Celery? Where are the maintenance barracks at the moment?
So you know where the RAH is?
Yeah.
Go down towards further down past where they were originally going to put it in that little triangle block.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And if you go down about another 300 metres, there's like a police yard there, and the horses back onto there as well.
Oh, yep.
Yep, it's going in there.
Where all those olive trees are.
Yes, do some digging, because I'm telling you, I've seen the plan. That's where it's going.
That sounds like some real insight. It turned out to be some real insight as well. Celery.
Take a bow if you're listening, Celery.
Well played, Celery.
We dip our lid. We dips our lids to you.
Yep, you heard it here first on FIVEAA Breakfast, 2 weeks ago. Alan in Glandor's called in. Morning, Alan.
How you going? Hey, what's wrong with putting the hospital where Lacourne used to be, opposite Ashford? There's a massive block of land there just growing weeds.
Yeah, but mate, this is the point. Like, this is what the clinicians are saying. We just played the grab from the woman, and as Will said before, 2 women died at the Women's and Children's after complications during childbirth because they couldn't get them to a crackerjack brand new hospital. That's the key here. Is it's got to be next to the RA, and like if you were starting afresh, why not?
Yeah.
You could put 2 hospitals there. I mean, maybe if you had a time machine and enough money at the time, could have gone back and said, all right, we're going to build the RA and the women's and children's at exactly the same time. You know, this is a bit of a one-way expressway getting a second lane scenario now, because we've known for years that we need a new women's and children. But the key point is, and you know, it's not us saying it, it's the best doctors and paediatricians in the state. It's got to be next to the RA. That's the key.
Big news that's going to play out very late tonight, 11:59 p.m. The fuel excise relief is removed, and the excise will come back on to petrol. The expectation is it'll add an extra 25 cents per litre, although it feels like there's some funny buggers being played out there at the moment. The RA's Mark Borlase says there will be a lag time of up to 5 days before the increase flows through to the pump.
We've had a low in Adelaide of around $1.50 and a high around $1.90. So the new low will be $1.75 probably, and obviously the new highs will be in the over $2.
Yeah, well, it's been a big sucked in for people like me filled up on Sunday. I just assumed it was going to get more expensive later in the week.
But it's already gotten more expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just jumping at shadows, and maybe it's just, you know, a conspiracy theory side of things. But it just seems like one hell of a coincidence that the cycle has gone up in anticipation of this, when everyone's been warned not to put it up immediately following the relief. I don't know. We'll see when we get to Fuel Watch a little bit later in the morning. Maybe you've got some things you've spied out there, folks. You can provide us some intel on when it comes to the fuel price today. Ahead of that, that's less than 24 hours away. 8223 0000 is the number. Keep your thoughts coming through about the Women's and Children's Hospital. I mean, projects don't get bigger than this. $3 billion. So
for now,
for now, if you're ever going to have a thought on something that your money's going towards, this is probably it. So call us, 8223 0000. Text us on the Automasters text line, 0448 08 1395. Lucy's in the studio with us. Morning, Luce.
Good morning. Just had a few people asking about how big this dam in Echunga is. What kind of size of water?
Okay.
Now, you can Google while I chat briefly. 10 megalitres of water is this private dam, roughly. Now, out of the three of us, I'm going to peg Will was the best with numbers. No offence, David.
God, that's
Well,
frightening for everyone.
not much of a competition though, is it, frankly?
Yeah, look, you and I are in the same boat here, so I agree with you. So, Will, what can you tell us about megalitres? 10 megalitres is this Echunga dam.
Talk about putting a man on the spot.
How quick are your Googling skills?
This is what you want is the Olympic-sized swimming pool equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's always the reference point for large bodies of water.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I only found this out very briefly, so I'll Google as well.
Okay.
I think what we actually should do is throw the lines open to somebody who actually knows a bit about how these things work.
1 megalitre is exactly 1 million litres.
That feels like a lot.
So 10 million litres this dam in Echunga holds.
10 million litres of water coming down into the township of Echunga, potentially.
Yep.
So when you got that number, that how many gigalitres it holds back, was that from a time removed from the current situation? Because it feels like the stresses on the dam are a byproduct of the heavy rainfalls we've had. So was that like from 2016, that's what's normal, or is that what it's dealing with now?
No, I just got it from the SES just then.
Okay, so that's literally the current state of play.
Well, I only found out 30 seconds ago, so I'm not actually sure.
No, but that would be the number.
But-
If that's the number they're dealing with, that's what they've punched into their calculations for how much it can deal with.
Yes, so I'm not sure how many more litres it will be able to take before it does split the banks, but 10 megalitres.
Okay, so 10 megalitres is at 4 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Rightio.
There you go. Yeah, so I knew someone
We got there.
Yeah, we got there in the end. Someone can do that calculation. Good on you, Luce. Appreciate that. It's 18 minutes after 7. We're going to check traffic and come back with more in just a moment on 5AA Breakfast. Before you head off on your road trip to do the fun stuff, let RAA take care of the car stuff.
Thanks. We've got a few damp roads on the drive-in today, so do take it nice and easy. And look out for a car roll over at Coromandel Valley this morning. It's on Main Road near the Walk, causing a few delays. Park home, you find a smash on Oaklands Road near the Marion Pool, and a couple of burst water mains to look out for too. One at Netley, Marion Road near Watson Avenue, and another one at Belair, Main Road near Manouta Drive. Busy right now, South Road at Karata Park with a camera, Fletcher Road at Elizabeth East. Shopping is so much easier when you use the Coles app. Plan ahead to see your savings. Create an in-store shopping list to help you stick to your budget. Download the Coles app today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Great food, man, seafood.
Latitude and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. Shop furniture, bedding, computers and technology, TVs and entertainment and more. That's 60 months interest-free, no deposit, no interest from Latitude with 60 approximately equal monthly payments and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. Finance only available if you have or are approved for a participating Latitude credit card. Minimum finance amount $1,000. See T's and C's. Interest applies for non-compliance. Fees and product exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
I'm Kathy Nagel, Chief Executive of Western Hospital Henley Beach. Ever wondered where you'd go if you needed several medical services at once? Well, wonder no more. For many patients, Western Hospital is a one-stop healthcare hub. Access everything you require without leaving the building or paying for parking. With our GP clinic, specialists on site, allied health, radiology, pathology, pharmacy, inpatient care and more, why go anywhere else? Explore our services at westernhospital.com.au.
Who can fix the shower?
Service today.
Who can fix the power?
Service today.
Yes, we can, is what we say at Service Today.
From emergency plumbing to electrical and heating and cooling, no matter what size job you need, at Service Today the answer will always be yes we can. It's Service Today guaranteed or it's free.
Can you fix the shower? Yes, we can.
Can you fix the power?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can, is what we say at Service Today.
Look out for our bright yellow trucks.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News. David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
21 after 7, Rita Wilson coming up after 8 o'clock on the program. The Premier of South Australia too, to continue this discussion about the Women's and Children's Hospital that we continue to get a flood of feedback from on the Automasters text line 044808 1395, or you can jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream and leave us your thoughts there. We're going to reflect on the sports show topic of the evening last night, Timmy and Rowie G. It's always a good fun part of the AFL season when you get to start talking about list changes. North Point overstocked with late model used cars ready for immediate delivery. It is the North Point way. And last night, it was the Port's upcoming trade period that was in focus.
Yeah, so
it's the same as Brad Crouch. Let's not beat around the bush. Of course he's going to turn it up.
Yep.
Pick 8, Carl Amon's compo pick and pick 53. They're going to get Rioli Jr. I think you need a key defender. And they reckon you can get Ben Mackay from North Melbourne. 201 centimetres. Graham sniffing
the brother
around.
of Harry?
Yeah, brother of Harry. If Port ended up with Rioli, Graham and a Mackay type and a pick 8 that's a gun kid for the future, that's aggressive.
Yeah.
Anything under that, you're not going to make the top 8.
And they're probably good ins as well, aren't they, as far as what the needs are for Port Adelaide at the moment.
What do you think they need?
Well,
would you get Graham if he was there?
I think Jack Graham would be terrific. He's already a premiership player.
Well, I think he's in front of Josh Dunkley.
And we've got no choice there. He's gone. He's going to Brisbane. So, but I just think he's a quality bloke. He's in a really good age bracket. So, you take a premiership player any day.
In the period where the conversations are all hypothetical at the moment, that'll change very, very soon. And Rowie and Timmy G will be all across it. North Point overstocked with late model used cars ready for immediate delivery. It is the North Point way.
Big accolade for one of our most accomplished and exclusive restaurants, the restaurant Botanic. I think a lot of our listeners would have been there over the years to weddings and things like that, because it was more of a sort of function centre for a long time. The beautiful sort of gazebo-style building in the centre of the Botanic Gardens there at Dame Elizabeth Murdoch Walk, just at the bottom of the beautiful Moreton Bay figs that are surrounded by clivias and acanthus, some of Will's favourites, I know. Always been a big clivia guy, haven't you?
Oh, you know me too well.
Don't get me started. If you want to go there for a feed, save up, because it is not cheap. $245 to $295 per person.
Special occasion.
Super special occasion.
Very special occasion.
It's called the Garden Trail Menu, and the remarkable thing about it is that so much of the produce that's used is actually from the Botanic Gardens themselves. But Gourmet Traveller, and this is huge for SA, because there's cashed up people around the country who fly around the nation trying all of these restaurants. It's been voted the best restaurant in Australia, which is huge when you compare it to like the number of restaurants in Sydney and Melbourne. So for Adelaide's own restaurant Botanic, to win the gong is a huge accolade.
And it's only been open in this form for, I think, the last year, the chef who's been there doing it.
Yeah.
It's just a remarkable... And this is the kind of thing that drives tourism. In all seriousness, there are people that travel around the country wanting to go to the best restaurants, or people who come internationally that say, I want to go to Australia on a holiday, what's the best restaurant? Well, you come to Adelaide to do that.
The other two people who we should mention, and this is a great story, and this is actually a story about people moving to South Australia as well. There's a little restaurant in Wollonga called Mooney. Now, it's been started by two women who are originally from Taiwan, and they always love South Australian wine. So they came to Australia, they were working, one was working at Shannon Bennett's restaurant, Vue de Monde, which fans of MasterChef would know from his role in that program. But anyway, they both met in Melbourne. The Taiwanese, they didn't know each other, so they met in Melbourne. Then they had visa problems. They heard that the South Australian government was sponsoring chefs, so they came here. They ended up working at the Salopian Inn and I think at the Little Rickshaw in Aldinga, and Salopian obviously in McLaren Vale. And then there were dramas when COVID hit and they weren't getting the hours and that. And then they went, you know what? We've always wanted to open our own restaurant. So they've got this little space that they've done up in Wollonga, and they make like Japanese-inspired sort of tapas food. So everything's like a little snack. Almost all of it served with like little low-intervention wines from the Adelaide Hills and the new smaller wineries in the Southern Vales. But that's in relative high-end degustation food type terms. That's the cheap and cheerful version where it's $95 a person. Now again, we stress particularly in the
cheap
midst
and cheerful.
A cost of living squeeze. It's unrealistic for everybody to think that it's going to be affordable. But this is a huge part of our food culture, and these are the people at the very sort of outer ends of it. And these two young Taiwanese girls, they've been recognised by Gourmet Traveller 2 as best new talent. So SA is massively punching above its weight.
Terrific story. There's some very clever ways that Hollywood now goes about marketing new movies that are coming out. And we've had evidence of that in the last half an hour, featuring a big-name Australian as well. Ryan Reynolds just put out this little video on his social media account, talking about his troubles coming up with a concept for the new Deadpool movie.
Hey, everyone. We're extremely sad to have missed D23, but we've been working very hard on the next Deadpool film for a good long while now. I've had to really search my soul on this one. His first appearance in the MCU obviously needs to feel special. We need to stay true to the character, find new depth, new motivation, new meaning. Every Deadpool needs to stand out and stand apart. It's been an incredible challenge that has forced me to reach down deep inside, and I have nothing. Yeah, just completely empty up here and terrifying. But we did have one idea. Hey, Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time?
Yeah, sure, Ryan.
But 30 minutes ago, fans of the Deadpool films and fans of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine are very, very excited. Hugh Jackman had previously said he would never play the role ever again. I think he did the version of the character Logan. It was basically him retiring and dying in old age. But he's bringing it back one more time, and it was total surprise to everyone. He's in the background of a Ryan Reynolds video brushing his teeth, making the announcement. Very clever way of doing it. So it's gone viral, it's gone everywhere, and it's just happened in the last 30 minutes or so. 28 minutes after 7, 5AA News coming up. We're going to take a quick break. Be back with more shortly.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments, including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available now on the Nissan Navara SL 4x4 Dual Cab Auto, with more models to come. Thanks to Nissan Future Value, you'll know your vehicle's value to us at the end of your loan term. You can choose whether to upgrade, keep or return your Nissan vehicle when your loan term ends. The choice is yours. It's a flexible finance solution for your fleet that puts you in control. Plan confidently for the road ahead with Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Ray White, big name in real estate, but also the biggest name in business broking. What makes us big? Our people, like Brett Buckley and his team. MBA, lecturer, and multi-time SA Business Broker of the Year. Brett doesn't just read a P&L, he feels it. If you're selling or expanding your business, Brett can take your business apart and find you more money. And we're not talking small change. Go on, touch base with Brett. Search Ray White Business Sales SA.
This weekend is a super weekend at your local Cheapers Chips, and that means it's a super opportunity to live cheaper with their cheap prices.
We love our friends at Cheapers Chips, so if you're giving your home the spring refresh, and there's all those things that don't have a spot, well, make one. Organise your bits and bobs with 20% off a select range of furniture and shelves.
Now, we love our pets, but sometimes their pet beds have seen a bit too much tough love. Well, not to worry. Cheapers Chips have 15% off all cat and dog beds.
And what about this if you're into personal grooming? Maybe you're about to embark on a career in television. There's heaps more in store. Listen up, Will.
No,
this is
I'm paying close attention.
Right up your alley. 30% off Prenetti Grooming. You can grab a new hair curler for just $17.50.
I could drop a curl in for
Maybe
Friday
if you
night,
want
couldn't I?
Well, you could come in with like a sort of, Peter Cook style 1970s soccer perm reading the news. That'd blow everyone's minds.
So it would blow away management at Channel 7 away, I can tell you that. For more Super Weekend deals, check the back page of this week's Cheapers Chips catalogue or head to your local Cheapers Chips.
Get a read on fuel hikes, rate spikes and red carpet delights. Get a read on today with The Advertiser and enjoy full digital access for only $1 a week for the first 12 weeks. Minimum cost $4. Search The Advertiser offer today. Conditions apply.
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Partly cloudy with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
There are evacuations and road closures around Echunga this morning as emergency crews wait for a dam to burst. It's on a farm on Mariana Street. David O'Shaughnessy from the SES says they've been monitoring it through the night.
We've escalated our warning message to an emergency warning message advising people that if it's safe to do so, they should relocate themselves just in case that dam wall does fail and the water was to go through that township. Because it's so close to the town, regardless of the height and the amount of water, that water will come in with a little bit of force and could cause some damage.
If you need to change your driver's licence in the wake of the Optus cyber attack, there'll be no replacement fee. The state government is waiving the $20 charge. Transport Minister Tom Koutsantonis has this message for the telco's customers.
I know it's inconvenient and I know you're right to be angry at Optus, but in your own interest, come in, get your driver's licence changed and we'll take care of the cost for you.
Meantime, the FBI is helping agencies investigate the hack, which has impacted up to 10 million Australians. We're being encouraged to fill up with the fuel excise returning in full from midnight. That will add an extra 25 cents per litre. The RAA's Mark Borlase says there will be a lag time of up to 5 days before the increase flows through to the pump.
We've had a low in Adelaide of around $1.50 and a high around $1.90. So the new low will be $1.75 probably, and obviously the new highs will be in the over $2.
The federal government says service stations which try to gouge consumers will be penalised. The number of Australians experiencing cold, flu and COVID symptoms is decreasing. Data shows 36% of households were sick last month, down from 42% in July. But the number of people taking COVID tests in the past 4 weeks has also dropped. Legislation will be introduced into federal parliament to establish a national anti-corruption watchdog. Michael Packey reports from Canberra.
Labor believes its proposed Integrity Commission will build resilience in our democracy. The body will have an initial budget of $262 million. The Albanese government says the commission will have broad scope to conduct investigations into politicians, their staffers and bureaucrats. It'll also be able to call on union officials, business leaders and lobbyists to testify. The commission's investigations can be retrospective, they can be held in public or private, and whistleblowers would be protected.
Australians are taking more mental health days off work than ever before. Zach De Silva has the story.
There's been a 20% jump in the number of mental health days taken since the start of the pandemic. Workers took a total 26,600 days off in the 2022 financial year. The data from Allianz shows businesses are feeling the pinch, the number of days lost increasing by 19%. The insurer is encouraging workplaces to do more to improve the mental health of their staff.
David Bowie fans will pay big bucks for memorabilia, the original handwritten lyrics for Starman fetching more than $330,000 at auction. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide is set to ramp things up and is going to be openly aggressive ahead of what is looming as a busy trade period beginning next week. The Power has its sights set on West Coast forward Junior Rioli as well as Richmond Premiership player Jack Graham. The Power have missed out on Keziah Pickett from Melbourne, who looks to see out his contract there, while Adelaide is still gunning to get Isaac Rankin across from Gold Coast. Meantime, Dane Zorko is set to stick with the Brisbane Lions for another year after signing a contract extension. 2023 will be the captain's 12th AFL season with the club. And after a lengthy tribunal hearing, Geelong's Georgie Prespakis has had her 2-match ban for a dangerous tackle upheld. To basketball, the Opals have finished on top of their group at the Women's World Cup, setting up a quarter-final clash against Belgium. A 17-point win over Japan and other results falling their way have ensured Australia won't have to play against the US unless they both reach the final. Head coach Sandy Brondello says they've got their campaign back on track.
We had a little hiccup in the beginning, but really proud, just our persistence and just hanging in there and continue to stay together and play tough at both ends of the floor.
And South Australia's cricketers will be hoping for another win in the Marsh One Day Cup when they take on Tasmania in Brisbane, with the match to start early this afternoon. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Got a few damp roads and a few spots on the way to work, so take care if you're heading in at the moment. And look out for a car rollover at Coromandel Valley. It's on Main Road near the Walk. Park Home, you find a smash this morning. It's on Oaklands Road near the Marion Pool, causing delays, while a few burst water mains are slowing things up. One at Netley, Marion Road near Watson Avenue, and another one at Blair, Main Road near Minouta Drive. Busy right now, South Road at Karata Park with a camera at Seaview Road at Henley Beach. It's the Furniture Frenzy sale at Amart. Save big with up to 50% off a huge range of furniture. Transform your home for less and hurry into Amart. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, 17 and partly cloudy today, partly cloudy tomorrow 19, Friday 19 as well, and then Saturday mostly sunny 21. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
23 to 8, we're going to check back in with Sam at the Echunga Dam developing situation in a few moments' time. Get a better sense of where that's currently at. Speaking to some people with knowledge of the situation, they're trying to pump water out of the dam at the moment, but they can't do it at a rate that's alleviating pressure well enough off the dam right now. Now, it hasn't broken, it's buckling, but people are being evacuated, and thankfully there's been a long enough lead time that word has gotten around and people are being evacuated to the Echunga Football Oval. But again, if you're in the area, maybe you've been evacuated, maybe you're waiting for an update yourself, we'd love to hear from you about what your experience has been for the last about 12 hours, because it was around between 7 and 8 last night that we first started getting reports from the SES that there was a developing situation there. 8223 0000 is our number.
Well, for many thousands of our listeners who are aged in their 70s and 80s, they would have real-life recollections of what it was like going to primary school in the 1950s, 1960s, early 1960s, dealing with the scourge of polio. I know, talking to my dad, he was telling me the other night that as a kid at Stirling East Primary, there were a number of children in his class who ended up being taken away and put into splints. The vaccination was obviously the big key in fighting polio. It was one of the greatest examples of medical science going to war against a virus and winning. Well, the disturbing news now is that in the Western world, in London and in New York, polio is now back. There have been a number of cases in both of those major cities. Someone in New York who was unvaccinated came down with a case of paralytic polio. And here in Australia, the New South Wales government has started doing water testing to make sure it's not here. Gillian Thomas is the CEO of Polio Australia and joins us now. Gillian, we firstly, thank you for your time. We thought that we'd won the war against polio, did we not?
Yes, we certainly did. In the developed world, I mean, it's still endemic in 2 countries, in Pakistan and Afghanistan, but we're down to the last 1% of actually defeating wild polio.
So what is the trigger for its return in the developed world?
Well, it's basically, I guess, it's people who aren't vaccinated. and the fact that the polio vaccine that's in use in places like Afghanistan and Pakistan is very much weakened but still active polio virus. So the vaccine is based on the actual virus, which is very, very weak. And in certain cases, that vaccine can mutate back to a live state. And if people aren't vaccinated, there's the possibility that they can contract it.
What's our level of vaccine coverage like in Australia, Gillian?
It's pretty good. It's up in the high 90s. There are some pockets around Australia where obviously it's a bit lower than that. But in Australia, we actually use now, since 2005, the inactivated poliovirus, which is the Salk vaccine, which was developed way back in the 1950s.
I must admit, Gillian, I wasn't even sure that there would be a group like Polio Australia. But I guess, as I said at the start, there's still a lot of people in Australia who have lived with the effects of the virus, aren't there?
Yes, that's right. I mean, we're still here as our catch cry.
Yeah.
People think we just sort of faded away into history, but there are a lot of people obviously still in Australia who were born in Australia and who also have migrated here in more recent years from places where polio was eradicated more recently. So there's probably about 40,000 odd polio survivors living in Australia today.
That's a lot of people. Do you mind me asking, have you had a personal experience with it yourself? Was that the thing that triggered your involvement?
Oh, no.
Lucky you.
Yes. Well, about 75% or so of people who contract the virus aren't aware that they've had it. It's asymptomatic. And then there's the rest of them, the other 25% or so, might get mild flu-like symptoms, but about 1 in 200 cases actually develops through to the paralytic stage. So I won that lottery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very lucky. And I contracted it in 1950s, which was 5 years before the vaccine actually was introduced into Australia. So.
Well, Gillian, we're just getting some text on the Automasters text line. People asking where they can get a polio vaccine today.
Well, they just need to speak to their GP. There is a national childhood immunisation register which records people, when children are vaccinated when they're young. But if anybody has missed out on vaccinations, they really just need to go and speak to their GP about it.
Well, we thank you for sharing your story, Gillian, and also for raising awareness about the fact that the need for people to make sure they're vigilant with their vaccinations. Gillian Thomas, the CEO of Polio Australia.
Getting some text through on this front. Sue in Christie's Beach says, my dad had polio in his neck when I was 18 months old back in 1962. Spent a lot of time in an iron lung. Ended a very promising football career and probably contributed to his death at the very young age of 43. As a result, my two sisters and I were all vaccinated early. My sisters at 4 and 5 and me at 2. Thank you for that, Sue. It's a very sad story.
The fact that people wouldn't take the obvious and easy precaution against it is just... I'm sure, we'll talk about the places that aren't doing it. So the pockets of Australia. One guess would be like, Byron Bay, Lismore. Speaking of Lismore, have you seen this story about the climate activist in Sydney who parked her car at the entrance to the Sydney Harbour Tunnel, stopping all of the traffic from entering in a protest against climate change? She's had the charges dismissed because a judge in Lismore, who may well be the local Greens candidate up there in hippy-dippy land, Northern Rivers part of New South Wales, say that with respect, Your Honour, and withdraw. Hopefully he doesn't listen
to work like that?
So she's gone to court and said, the reason I did this protest is I suffer from what should be a recognised condition called climate anxiety. And he's gone, yep, you do. You're free to go.
So clearly that stood up under cross-examination, did it? Didn't require a clinical...
I don't know if she had a psychiatrist with her.
Is that a recognised disorder now, is it?
Well, it is by that court. She parked the car at the entrance to the Sydney Harbour Tunnel and then she got like a steering wheel lock and she locked herself to the steering wheel. No one could enter the tunnel in peak hour traffic.
I mean, I'm no clinician, but I wouldn't have thought parking your car in front of oncoming traffic does wonders for your anxiety.
No, it's all about a higher cause, Will. Saving Mother Earth.
Being higher might be part of it.
Yeah.
Luce in the studio. And I hope you've got good news, Luce, because our Norwood Flames music is always upbeat and happy. They're
Yes.
at the Nationals. They started well.
Yes,
What's happened?
absolutely happy music today again, I will say. Now, I do actually have two bits of news, both unrelated, but I will start with the Norwood Flames. So yesterday they took on Penrith. No?
The Panthers.
Sorry, it was at the court was called Penrith.
Okay.
They took on the Warrnambool Mermaids.
Warrnambool.
Oh, yeah, the Mermaids.
Warrnambool Mermaids. Marina tells me it was a tough stay. They were neck and neck at half-time, 25-all.
Okay. Yeah, girls haven't really been tested in crunch time because
Until-
usually they're winning by 50.
That's right, until the Mermaids. But the girls dug deep in the second half and pulled away to take the win 59-41 against Warrnambool.
Shut them down. 16 points in the second half.
That's right.
The Mermaids on dry land in that second half.
What were they doing? Now, today at 10 a.m, the Norwood Flames take on one of the other SA teams, the Eastern Mavericks.
Oh, it's the South Australian
Derby.
The Derby.
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 I'm going Derby.
in SA.
Yeah, Derby.
Derby in Western Australia, Derby in SA.
Yeah, the SA Derby between the Flames and the Mavericks,
But
10
the
a.m.
game's
today.
played in New South Wales, so what do you do there? So the Mavericks have had a pretty good run too.
So far, they're 4-zip up. Oh,
So
sorry, the
bo-
Flames are. And the Mavericks, we established, are in the top 12 as well.
This is the only way a South Australian team was going to get knocked out, it appears, making them play each other. Sounds like a dastardly Eastern Coast plot, if you ask me. That's exceptional. So they're 4-zip
Yes.
at the Nationals,
Yes.
have beaten a side from every state now, it sounds like, just about. Certainly the big states,
Yep.
Victoria, New South Wales, Western
Yep.
Australia.
Yep.
We must be getting close to the business end.
Yes, so today is the day 2 of their second pool. So there is another game this afternoon as well they will play. I'm not sure who that is, but they've got 2 games today.
Geez,
Getting to the business end.
McGains know how to pick a winner, don't they? McGains got on board. The Flames said to us, we need a sponsor to get us to Nationals.
Yep.
This might be one of the great performances by a South Australian team on the national stage in recent times.
Yep, us and McGain are the hype team.
Exactly right.
Now, my other piece of news before you rush me out of the studio, you'll remember Australian Idol.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, our listeners may probably not have watched Australian Idol. I watched it as a child. It is coming back. The judges have just been announced for 2023.
Who have we got?
So on Channel 7 next year, the judges of the revamped and relaunched Australian Idol are Harry Connick Jr.,
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Megan Trainor,
Yep.
an American singer, Amy Shark, Australian
Wow.
singer, and Kyle Sandilands.
Not a singer.
Not a singer,
3 out of 4 ain't
an
bad.
FM radio host in Sydney. Now, Australian Idol launched careers such as Guy Sebastian, Jessica Malboy, Anthony Kalia, Ricky Lee, and Matt Corby, Casey Donovan, who was on our show a few weeks ago. Internationally, under Pop Idol, we had Kelly Clarkson, Jennifer Hudson, Adam Lambert, who now fronts the Queen band, and Carrie Underwood. So it is a big deal, and it is coming
Juggernaut
back.
franchise.
Yeah.
It's been years since it's been on the telly.
Yeah, at least a decade, I would say.
Yeah.
That's a pretty remarkable expert panel.
What's Kyle Sandilands doing?
Someone has to be the mean guy. And I actually bet in 2022 it's harder to find the mean guy than it was in 2002 with your Simon Cowles and people like that. Piers Morgan's played that role on TV shows before.
Mark Holden was the judge you loved to hate for a while too,
Yeah,
wasn't
and
he?
Ian Dicko Dickinson.
That's right, Dicko.
Dicko.
Marsha Hines was on it.
We're less tolerant of mean guys on TV, so I reckon they're harder to find. So Kyle might have the market cornered for a while.
Well, they've picked him well because he's deeply irritating.
He'll play the role. There's no doubt about that. Excellent information, Luce. Excited about the
Good work,
Flames. Let's check traffic. We'll come back with more in just a moment. Before you head off on your road trip to do the fun stuff, let RAA take care of the car stuff.
Thanks, Will. Got a few damp roads on the drive-in today, so do take it nice and easy. And look out for a car all over at Coromandel Valley. It's on Main Road near the Walk, causing a few delays. Burst Watermain's got a couple of those about this morning. One at Netley, Marion Road near Watson Avenue, and another one at Blair. It's Main Road near Manouta Drive. And we're busy at the moment, South Road, as you're driving through Karata Park. Camera's got a few of those about too. You'll find one Airport Road, Brooklyn Park, and another one Frederick Road at Grange. Hungry? Head to a Porto for the Bondi Burger Box. Double Bondi Burger, 2 crispy chicken strips, snack chips, drink can dipping sauce, just $16.95 at a Porto. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The next generation of mighty South Aussies have spoken.
Equal rights for everyone. Oceans without junk in them. No nasty chemicals in things.
Search Sustainable 7 to hear more about what the future's got in store for Foodland.
Early bird pricing for a limited time across all matches. Don't delay. Visit adelaidestrikers.com.au today for links to purchase, and we can't wait to see you back in blue this summer.
South Australian superstar Hugh Sheridan is bringing his smash hit concert Solitary Man to his hometown following sold-out shows at the Sydney Opera House Concert Hall. Solitary Man features 25 Neil Diamond masterpieces performed by 19 of Australia's finest artists, musicians and singers, with powerful renditions from Hot August Night and other Neil Diamond favourites, including Crunchy Granola Sweet and Sweet Caroline. The lyrical beauty of Neil's reflective love ballads blended with toe-tapping 60s tunes will have you dancing, laughing and singing all night long. Don't miss it. Good times never seemed so good. Festival Theatre, Thursday, December 8. Tickets on sale from Tuesday, October 4 at solitaryman.com.au.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand, with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts, right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options, Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota forklift advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you'll receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
A train travelling at 100 kilometres per hour needs the length of 2 football ovals to stop. Trains can't stop quickly. You can. Stand back, look up, stay rail safe. A message from the Government of South Australia.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 to 8, John Blake in a moment. The Premier of South Australia at 8 o'clock to talk about the new location for the Women's and Children's Hospital. So many terrific texts on the Automasters text line. I'll put some of your assertions to him at 8:05 this morning. But first, an update on the situation at Echunga with the failing dam that has seen the SES evacuate people and recommend leaving the immediate area as they try to pump water away, but still facing issues with the dam infrastructure beginning to buckle. Sam Daddo has been down there for the better part of the last hour. Sam, good morning to you.
Morning again, guys. Yes, I've made my way down to the Echunga Footy Club, which is the area people are being urged to head to, who are being told to evacuate. Not a lot. Basically, the word is here, people don't really know what's going on. Talk is the drains can't keep up with them trying to pump the water out of the dam. Some people have been saying if the dam does go, there could be up to a metre of water heading towards the town. Now, there's around about 10 or 20 people here now. About 5 minutes ago, I caught up with a local resident in the area. His house is in the evacuation zone. This is what he had to say.
So where do you live in comparison to the dam?
Well, downhill of it.
Yeah, and
so there's a lot of townsfolk who are actually in the path of this dam, should it break.
Yeah. When did you first hear about, was it yesterday afternoon or?
About the extent of it, only by about 6 o'clock this morning. Because I knew that, obviously we had the SES out last night and they were working on, we knew of them working on a smaller dam that's below it. But, there's a very large dam.
Sam, that sounds a bit odd that, like, given the extent of the threat from what we've been told by SAPOL and the SES, that people were only finding out this morning how dramatic it was.
Yeah, that's what I've found out. Most everyone was just about 6 o'clock this morning. To be fair, a lot of people are in a bit of a dazed and confused state here because they just don't really know what's happening. They've been told to get your stuff, pack your documents and get out, basically. That's the word.
Wow. So are they still trying to pump water out of it, or are they trying to dig a sort of channel to the back of it to get the water out in a way that diverts it away from the town?
I was talking to a couple of other people here that there was word that there could be a controlled breach to try and do it properly, I guess, if that's the correct way of saying. But I'm about to head back up to the intersection of Adelaide Road and Echunga Road and see what else is going on.
All right, Sam, thank you for that. We'll check in with you again after 8 o'clock this morning. Right now, it is time for John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
I call this meeting of the Prospect Council to order. First item on the agenda is weed control in the dog parks around the Prospect area. Does someone have an update on this?
Yes, I do. The weeds have been of great concern to us, as you know, and they've been so bad that we've been using Roundup to control them.
And was that successful?
It was successful, yes, it killed the weeds, but we discovered that Roundup uses glyphosate as the active ingredient, and it's poisonous and may cause cancer. So we decided, at the suggestion of member Rachel Sanderson, to use goats to control the weeds in the dog parks.
And was that successful?
It was, but unfortunately the dogs attacked the goats and ate them all.
So what did you do?
Well, we had to call in a waste disposal company to clean up the dead goats.
And was that successful?
It was. The waste disposal company came and cleaned up the dead goats, but unfortunately they made such a mess with their heavy trucks churning up the ground.
So what did you do?
Well, we had to call in a landscaper to return the parkland to its natural state.
And was that successful?
It was. The landscaper came in and planted new grass, but it didn't grow very well.
So what did you do?
Well, we had to call in a horticulturalist to fertilise the soil.
And was that successful?
It was. The company came in and treated the soil with all sorts of organic material and slow-release fertiliser to bring the soil up to scratch.
And was that successful?
It was. It was very effective. The grass grew very well.
That's a good outcome.
But unfortunately, so did the weeds.
So what did you do?
We called in a weed control company.
And was that successful?
It was. They got rid of all the weeds.
What did they use?
They used Roundup.
Was that successful?
It was, but we discovered that Roundup is poisonous and may cause cancer.
So what did you do?
We decided to use goats.
Was that successful?
It was, but unfortunately the dogs attacked the goats and ate them all.
So what did you do?
Well, we had to call in a waste disposal company.
And was that successful?
That's reminiscent of, was it the Cactoblastus moth was brought in to combat the prickly pear, and then the cane toad was brought in to combat the Cactoblastus moth. Is that right?
I think that's what he's getting at.
Yeah.
More from John Blake as we go behind closed doors after 8:30. Michael in Nailsworth called in on the Women's and Children's Hospital new location. Morning, Michael.
Good morning, gentlemen. I think that where it's going to be put at the old police station is a good site, but I want to know if the Adelaide jail's going to be removed, because it wouldn't be a nice sight from the window if you're sick in bed.
I'm pretty sure the jail's not... The old jail, no. I don't think there's any suggestion that the jail's going.
No.
Part
of the argument for having it in that area is with it backing onto the parklands, that's actually shown to be good for your health. You get out and wander around and get to enjoy the pretty part there, but I don't think...
You know what's amazing? The Women and Children's Hospital in Melbourne, when they built it, they partnered up with the Melbourne Zoo and the Melbourne Aquarium, and they said, we want to do something in here for the kids. And this is something where maybe this could be thrown into the mix here for Adelaide, particularly given that it's going to be on the parkland. There's a meerkat enclosure at the Melbourne Children's Zoo. So all these poor kids have got cancer and what have you, or even just recovering from like a, busted wrist from playing school footy. How great is that for the kids, that's part of the hospital?
Yep. You get stimulation other than sitting in a room. I think there's clinical outcomes that show if your environment is a bit nice and you've got other stimulation than looking at a beeping machine, it's actually good for your recovery.
Well, back in a less enlightened era, when mental health facilities were known as lunatic asylums, there was a lot of work done by British garden designers about the sort of reflective spaces, rest and reflection, and like churches do it. I mean, rosary gardens, a huge tradition in the Catholic Church. But part of the theory was, and it's true, was that your mental health is better if you feel connected to nature.
Yeah, absolutely. 7:50, 5AA News coming up. We'll be talking more about this with the Premier of South Australia, live in the studio next.
New Zealand, spectacular, safe and friendly. The perfect destination for a magical getaway. Right now, Holiday Wonders have a value-packed 17-day fully inclusive package. It's truly unbelievable value. Fly direct from Adelaide with Air New Zealand touring North and South Islands with meals, accommodation and so much included. More highlights than any comparable New Zealand holiday. Departs Friday the 3rd of February or 3rd of March 2023. Call now or visit holidaywonders.com.au.
It's hard to get excited about anything when you have to wait. Buy a new car. Wait. Build a home. Wait. Buy a new lounge. Wait. Delayed gratification. It's everywhere. But not at Bob Burns Blinds. At Bob Burns Blinds, we have a 10-day installation promise. Our quality roller blinds are made right here in SA, not interstate. So instead of waiting 3 months or more for your roller blinds, we'll do it in 10 days. And that's a promise. BobBurnsBlinds.com.au.
20 years ago, Toyota set the standard for hybrid vehicles with the iconic Prius. Today, they're still leading the way with their Toyota hybrid technology for a cleaner, greener future for all Australians. Jarvis Toyota is Adelaide's home of hybrid. They can get you behind the wheel of your own small, medium or large sedan or SUV with best-in-class fuel economy. Work towards a better future together with Jarvis Toyota. South Road, Clovelly Park, Adelaide's home of hybrid.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 17 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion has individual sessions and classes claimable on private health and NDIS.
The $20 replacement fee for South Australians requiring a new driver's licence as a result of the Optus breach will be waived. Transport Minister Tom Koutsantonis says anyone affected should visit an Service SA centre.
Driver's licences are a verification for identity. They can be used in all forms of scams. So my very strong advice to anyone impacted by this data breach is go get a brand new driver's licence.
The state government will be seeking reimbursement of any taxpayer liability through Optus. Meantime, the FBI has been called in to help local agencies investigate the cyber attack. Emergency crews are monitoring a dam at Echunga, waiting for it to burst. It's on a farm on Mariana Street, close to the township. A dam failure emergency warning message has been issued. David O'Shannessy from the SES says the damage has increased during the night.
We've had a couple of instances of this over the last 5 or 6 years, and normally after quite a heavy rainfall event. So 2016 was the last one of note for us, and that was quite a big year for rainfall as well. So it's just that the ground gets sodden, dams get full, and like you said, just the pressure builds up, and we see this happen occasionally.
A house fire in the northern suburbs has left a $150,000 damage bill. Rachel Kinlock from the MFS says it sparked in the early hours.
Just before 3:30 this morning, the Metropolitan Fire Service, with 23 firefighters from 6 appliances and 1 command vehicle, responded to a 000 call from a neighbour reporting a structure fire on Wandana Avenue at Gillis Plains.
The residents evacuated unhurt. Tough new laws targeting killers who hide or defile bodies have been passed by State Parliament. Attorney General Kayam Ma says they'll have up to 15 more years slapped on their sentence.
Previously, there's been an incentive, if someone's killed another person, to hide the remains, because sometimes that means that charges might not be murder but might be downgraded to manslaughter.
2 other new offences, failing to report the finding of human remains and concealing found human remains, will carry a maximum 5-year jail term. The state government has been slammed over plans to bulldoze the Theberton Police Barracks to make way for the new Women's and Children's Hospital. Special laws will be introduced to allow demolition of 10 heritage-listed buildings. But heritage advocate Keith Conlon is disappointed.
You should not have to pitch 2 good things against each other. Of course we need a new Women's and Children, and naturally that's fantastic for our future, but it seems really tragic that it comes at a cost of not taking some of our past into the future as well.
William and Kate have returned to work visiting Wales for the first time since receiving their new titles. UK correspondent Edward Godfrey.
The end of official mourning for the royal family was marked by the new Prince and Princess of Wales visiting the part of the kingdom they now closely represent. William and Kate given a warm welcome in Anglesey, Wales by locals, including a 4-year-old named Theo, who waited for 4 hours to greet Kate with a posy of pink roses. They then met with crew and volunteers at Holyhead Lifeboat Station. In Swansea, crowds gathered as church bells chimed to the tune of God Save the King. A little local girl named Charlotte barely leaving Kate's side as she carried out her formalities. There'll be no investiture in Wales like William's father Charles did. Instead, regular and more down-to-earth visits.
Hugh Jackman is donning the claws one more time. He'll return as Wolverine in Deadpool 3, due for release in September 2024. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
New Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And we've got a showdown at the end of the week, Tom Wren.
Yeah, looking forward to this one, Mel. Port Adelaide's women, they're going to hit the training track tonight as well as they prepare for that historic match on Friday night against the Crows. The Crows will be heavy favourites to take out their first ever meeting, but the Power, they'll be hoping to replicate the upset that the men caused in their first ever meeting back in 1997. Well, Collingwood is under fire from the AFL Players Association as the club attempts to insert a behavioural clause in the 5-year contract offered to Jordan De Goey following several off-field incidents. AFLPA General Manager Brett Murphy says he doesn't want these clauses to become the norm for clubs.
We have so many great examples where players who've experienced off-field difficulties have had their arms wrapped around them by their club. And we think that that is a preferable approach than clauses of this nature.
The public face of Live Golf and CEO Greg Norman believes the sport will realign and the tours will come together to form a resolution moving forward. Speaking with Piers Morgan in the UK, Norman says the animosity has come entirely from the people involved on the US PGA Tour.
We tried to reach out with the European Tour. We tried to reach out with the PGA Tour. We wanted to integrate ourselves within their system to show that what we have is additive to the sport of golf. But they made the decision, not us.
There has been some discussion and reports a Live Golf tournament could be played here in Adelaide next year. And the All England and Wales Cricket Board says it is willing to host Test cricket between India and Pakistan should they agree to resume their rivalry on neutral turf. And South Australia will take on Tasmania in a one-dayer later today, the two sides meeting in Brisbane. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Coromandel Valley this morning, got a car rollover. That's on Main Road near the Walk, causing a few delays. Netley, burst water main, Marion Road near Watson Avenue. And Belair, you'll find another burst water main, Main Road near Manouta Drive. Quite busy at the moment, South Road as you're driving through Karata Park. And look out for cameras. You'll find one on the North-South motorway at Waterloo Corner and another one, Sir Donald Bradman Drive at Brooklyn Park. 9 out of 10 people who are blind or vision impaired don't need to be. You can help the Fred Hollows Foundation restore sight for as little as $25. Go to hollows.org. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, partly cloudy 17 today, partly cloudy tomorrow 19, Friday much the same 19. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Will retirement living suit you? You're invited to FIVEAA's Spring Open Day events to get a sneak peek of the lifestyle you could look forward to. Enjoy free refreshments and activities, explore our communities, inspect our display homes and chat with our friendly team. There's even a chance to win $10,000 when you RSVP. With 3 events across Adelaide on October 15, take the first step and search FIVEAA Open Day today. RSVP is essential and COVID-safe practices apply. See website for T's and C's. Licence number T22/1434.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
Eight after 8, Rita Wilson coming up this hour on 5AA Breakfast. Also, we'll go behind closed doors after 8:30 and take more of your calls on 8223 0000. Text 2 on the Automasters text line, all pertaining, I suspect, to our next interview, the Premier of South Australia joining us for Breaking at 8.
Well, it is such a big story that we thought we would give this morning's Breaking at 8 segment over to the question of the proposed $3.2 billion new Women's and Children's Hospital to be built on the police barracks site. And we've been kindly joined in the studio this morning by our Premier, Peter Malinauskas. Premier, good morning, and thank you so much for coming in. So, look, we'll start with the heritage issue, because that has been the one thing that so many people, particularly former 5AA host Keith Conlon, who's a big heritage advocate, has homed in on. Do you do this with heavy heart? Because people do have a bit of an emotional connection in a heritage sense to this place.
We do it with a full consciousness, Dave, of the significance of the decision. It hasn't been an easy conclusion to arrive at, that we do have to lose a part of the heritage nature of that site. I've got a lot of regard for Keith Collin. He's a good South Australian and he's very passionate about heritage, as some people are. But the key thing that we have to be conscious of, and I have to be conscious of as Premier, is what's more important here and what are we weighing up? And we've made a very difficult but very deliberate decision to prioritise getting the Women's and Children's Hospital right first time round. The current Women's and Kids in North Adelaide is over, I think, 130 years old. So the decision we make here may well last 100 years. And then had we gone with the other proposition to build it on the site between the train line and the RA, which is very small, the hospital would have been outgrown the day we move into it. And we're thinking to ourselves, why would we spend $2.8 billion on a hospital that's going to be too small day one? Let's find an option to get it big enough from the start with the room to expand into the future. And that meant the barracks site, which means a difficult decision on heritage, but I am firmly of the view that this is the right call for the long-term interests of women and children in our state.
Does it require legislative change? Like, do you need to get the numbers in the upper house? Do you need to amend the Heritage Act to do this?
There are potential pathways outside of legislative change, but legislative change is what we are seeking to achieve because it can dramatically expedite the process, which dramatically saves on the cost. So every month that is lost is another increase in the cost. So this project needs to happen expeditiously, not just to save money, but also because we actually need a new women's and children's hospital. The other plan that the former government had could have been completed by 2029. This project could be complete by 2031. The reason why that extra 2 years in difference is because this is a bigger project. It's a far bigger hospital, a lot more beds. So the sooner we can get on with it, the better, and that's why we're introducing legislation to achieve that end.
How do you calm the fears of those in the heritage lobby that say, look, people may well widely say that this is a good project that necessitates the removal of some heritage buildings, but if you change the legislation, you open up a pathway for subsequent governments to say in future, well, that heritage building too is no longer significant and we want to build an office tower somewhere else, for example.
That's a very good question. The legislation that we introduce will only pertain to the Women's and Children's Hospital site. This is not legislation expanding the government's powers to demolish heritage elsewhere under different circumstances. This is a piece of legislation that is purpose-built only for that site. There have been other instances in the past where heritage has been lost in this state, including quite recently. The causeway to Victor Harbour was heritage listed, but it was viewed as it was outdated and there's been a new one built. So it's not without precedent, but we're not seeking to do something here that is to set a precedent to undermine heritage in our state. This is very purpose-built for a very specific consideration. And I might just say something else about the Thebarton Barracks. I went and drove around there myself the other night just to look around and, you know, see with my own eyes what we were, you know, potentially going to lose. It's important to note that the heritage value of the site is not associated to some extraordinary architectural significance. It's a police barracks. It's gated up by a 12-foot high fence or thereabouts. It's monitored by police. No South Australians get access to. The site itself is predominantly a car park. That's the biggest thing on the site, is a car park. So the heritage value isn't to do with the buildings. The heritage value is associated with the fact that this is an early iteration of a police facility in South Australia. It's not even the first. The first mounted police were actually behind the Adelaide Museum and they moved to the Thebarton Barracks in 1917. So there is historical significance, which I acknowledge, and I don't seek to dismiss it. But it's not as though it's Benarthen Hall or some sort of architecturally magnificent element. And South Australians who want to test that, I invite them to go around and drive around and have a look at themselves, and they will see where we're coming from.
I actually think we've had a number of texts, not the majority, not even close to the majority. We have had texts raising concerns about the heritage aspect. I reckon our listeners are more sus about the $3.2 billion figure. Given Labor's history with the RA, which is rightly or wrongly, everyone says, what's the most expensive building in the Southern Hemisphere? And everybody says it's the...
That's a bit of an urban myth, but yeah, anyway.
It's close.
Yeah. But either way, it's expensive, sure.
Yeah. Is $3.2 billion, hand on heart, going to be the final cost of this hospital?
Well, what we did is we brought in a whole bunch of independent experts and cost assessors to look at all the options. And the site that had been chosen previously, that little parcel of land between the railway lines and the RA, is so small and constrained that adds complexity to the build. Now, the opposition, the former government says, well, we could have built that hospital for just over $2 billion. But a few things have happened since then. One, they expanded the scope, because that was a figure that was released in 2019. One, they expanded the scope. And two, we've had massive cost escalation since then, which has been well documented, and your listeners would be well familiar. Doesn't matter if you're building a kitchen or a bathroom or a highly complex hospital, dollars have gone up. So that to build that now is $2.8 billion. This is $3.3 to $3.2 billion plus. That is in 2031 dollars. So that's not in
today's money.
That's not in today's money. That's in 2031
So
dollars.
you're saying you reckon you can definitely do it for less than $3.2 billion. That's the outer limit.
Well, the $3.2 billion figure is in 2031 dollars. And that's what all the independent cost assessors tell us, and that's what we're committed to delivering.
Even with wars and steel supplies being an iron ore and collapsing pound.
Well, you make $3.2 billion sound cheap, Dave. I mean, $3.2 billion is a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but that's how much it costs to build an elite facility of this size, of this scale, that sets us up for the long term. And like I said, this is a potentially 1 in 100 year project. I'd much rather have on my conscience the loss of a bit of a heritage, and I'd much rather that on my conscience than building a facility that's too small or out of scope or not having the capacity to expand in the future.
So the new Women's and Children's Hospital land is almost a decade away. It's been pushed into the 2030s. That's surely...
But we want to start construction next year.
Okay,
if we can get this legislation
no one's
through.
going to be in there getting treated until the 2030s. That being the case, is there money being committed to the current Women's and Children's site to keep it updated and extend life of scope extension?
$30.3 million is what we've committed to spending there to keep it going. But and this is why...
Does that spending predate this decision, though, to push back the...
Yes,
you're right. So there's no new money that you've committed to, given that it needs to last a couple of years longer now.
Not at this stage, no, but that will remain an iterative process that we engage with the Women's and Children's Hospital. But the sooner we can get construction underway, which is why we would like to pass this legislation, then the sooner we can actually get out of the old site and into the new one. This is a big project. If we could build it quicker, we would. But we're willing to, and I want to be transparent about this, there is a approximately 2-year differential between building on the site, the small site, versus building on this site. But we're making a decision that, 2 years in the context of 100 years and in the context of a far bigger hospital with a lot more beds is the right thing to do.
Good stuff. Premier Peter Malinauskas, thanks very much for joining us this morning about the new hospital.
I appreciate it. Cheers.
The leader of the opposition, David Speers, is called into the program. David, good morning to you. Will you support legislation that will see changes to the Act that will allow the Women's and Children's Hospital to be built in the Thebarton Barracks site?
We'll take a good look at that. We only found out about this yesterday, at the time just after the media found out, and when other South Australians found out about it. So we'll take a good look at that. It's probably fairly split out there in the community whether heritage should be sacrificed for a new hospital. We support a world-class hospital being built. We had planned to do so, but we'll see what this legislation looks like, because it sets a pretty significant precedent that could rip the heart out of heritage protection in this state going forward. So we'll see. But I do acknowledge plenty of your listeners will say, new hospital trumps heritage, and I can see where they're coming from, but we'll see what it looks like.
Are you sceptical about the $3.2 billion figure, David Speers?
I'm extremely sceptical. I think this is the NRAD, the New Royal Adelaide Hospital, all over again, a Malinauskas monument. We had a project ready to go, ticked off independently on the site adjacent to the New Royal Adelaide Hospital. We were told that hospital has to have a high level of interconnectivity between the Royal Adelaide Hospital and the new Women's and Children's Hospital. That's what clinicians told us. That's what the experts told us. And we had a project that was going to cost $2 billion ready to go. And we throw these figures around pretty haphazardly, but another $1 billion, maybe a bit more, and a project delayed not by 2 years, as Peter Malinauskas says, but by 5 years.
We were going to finish this in 2027. We're now talking 2032 financial year. So that's a long time in the future. They're going to build a bigger hospital, but it's going to take 5 years longer. There's a lot of question marks over this, and we will be asking a lot of questions.
Opposition Leader David Spears, thanks for joining us. Just to tie up a couple of loose ends, one text here, Alicia on the Automasters text line says, boys, can you confirm if the Old Adelaide jail will go? We can confirm that it definitely will not go, Alicia. We were chatting to the Premier before the mics were turned on, and I asked him that question, should have repeated it for the benefit of people like you, but yeah, the jail is not part of the development plan.
All right, let's check traffic. Before you head off on your road trip to do the fun stuff, let the RAA do the car stuff.
Thanks, Will. At Coromandel Valley, a car rollover on Main Road near the Walk is causing delays. Avoid that area if you can. Holden Hill, urgent gas works, North East Road near Grand Junction Road. Well, we've got a couple of burst water mains too this morning. Netley, Marion Road near Watson Avenue, and another one at Belair. That's on Main Road near Manouta Drive. Busy at the moment, South Road at Karata Park with a camera, Halsey Road and Elizabeth East. Discover opportunities in the down market with CMC Markets Invest, CanStar's online broker of the year, 12 years running. Think invest with CMC Markets. All trading involves risk. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Great food lives in Foodland. The mighty South Aussies, yeah.
What the needs are for Port Adelaide.
Rowie and Timmy G.
What do you think they need?
Would you get
Graham if he was there? He's a quality bloke. You take a premiership player any day.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
There are some things you have to wait for. Honey, we're having a baby.
We are?
And some things you shouldn't wait for, like having your blinds installed. Some companies take months to install. Not Bob Burns Blinds. We'll do it in just 10 days. Our quality blinds are made right here in our local St Mary's factory, so we can have your blinds measured up and installed in no time. And that's a promise. Visit bobburnsblinds.com.au.
Hey, you in the car? If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
G'day, it's Mark Bickley. Schools, councils and businesses all over South Australia choose Leader Computers for very important reasons. Leader is local and exceptional value. No matter what happens, Leader can be on site to fix your problem. No overseas or interstate call centres to deal with. Plus, Leader Computers is a 100% owned and operated South Australian company, offering fast same-day delivery and setup. That's why so many organisations rely on Leader. Google Leader Computers to find your closest Leader reseller.
Living with diabetes? The Freestyle Libre 2 sensor-based glucose monitoring system helps you manage and check your glucose levels with 0 finger pricks and is clinically proven to lower your HbA1c. Now subsidised for all people with type 1 diabetes. Go to subsidychecker.com.au and upgrade to Freestyle Libre 2 today. For people aged 4+ with insulin requiring diabetes, always follow the directions for use. Read the warnings before purchase.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide, for Adelaide. 9 News. David Penberthy
And Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 after 8, just spoken with the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition, getting some calls on 8223 Mark in Newton is one of them. Morning to you, Mark.
Morning, lads. Hey, I'd like to correct the Premier on one point. The Tiverton Barracks is not entirely shut off to the public. I'm a member of the SA Police Historical Society, and we conduct tours of our museum, which is the biggest police museum in the Southern Hemisphere and would probably tackle most of the any police museums in the world. In addition to the collection, we have motor cars, which range from, or motor vehicles, police vehicles, they range from the Black Maria, which is a horse-drawn wagon, right through to all the historical police motorcycles and cars. So we conduct tours. and supervised naturally, because it's still an operational police area with dogs and horses. And we show them the museum. We take them through the car museum, show them the horses when we can, and we throw in scones, jam, and cream. Like it's the public are not closed off, but you have to organise a tour.
Okay. So, Mark, you'd be in the frame for getting punted, would you not?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's a logistical nightmare. Like, movie people come and collect uniforms for movies and historical stuff. That, you want to have a police incident from 1984. Here's the uniform. Here's all the stuff that you can use. It's an incredibly big collection there, so it's a logistical nightmare to move. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, well, thank you for calling in, Mark. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
A bit of knowledge from a local person on the ground there.
All right, let's head back to Echunga for the latest on the evacuation and the potential dam rupture there that has had the SES, police and emergency services camped out overnight. Sam Daddo's been there for the better part of the morning. Sam, what's the latest?
Morning, guys, again. I've made my way back up to Adelaide and the corner of Adelaide and Echunga Road. It's still pretty much the same waiting game, I guess, is going on. The SES have released another update, still trying to lower the level of the dam safely. SES Swift Water Rescue Technicians will remain on the site until the risk has subsided. Community members can collect sandbags from the Echunga CFS station from 44 Adelaide Road, Echunga. Also, you've got the SA emergency info line, which is 1800 362 361, and obviously keep up to date on the SES website.
Good on you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you for that. I just note the SES have put out a little bit of advice recently, the community update, and I think it just contains a lot of that information Sam has just told us. And if you want to find that, you can just go to the SES Twitter page or data.eso.sa.gov.au. They say this: SES was made aware of a privately owned dam which is showing signs of structural failure to the dam wall less than 500 metres upstream from Echunga. Due to the high risk of the wall collapsing, an emergency alert was issued to people in homes which have the potential to flood to advise them to prepare for flooding and to relocate to a safer location. That could be with family or friends, or it could be the Echunga Football Club. And it goes on with some of the other information about sandbags and so forth that Sam just alluded you to.
Hey, look, our listeners, they're very warm-hearted people. We've had a number of texts about our good friend Adelaide tech guy Richard Pascoe about his whereabouts, because he's a well-known Echunga resident. The good news is that he's safe and he does not need to evacuate, so that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. 27 minutes after 8, 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Automasters text. I've probably got time for just a couple of texts after the chat with the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition.
One here from JB in Happy Valley said, where are the police going to relocate to? Will they need another new facility? Well, yes, they definitely will, JB. And I noted yesterday, though, the Police Commissioner was quite philosophical about the fact that this is happening. He put out a statement, and my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, the figure I think the government set aside $2 million?
Yeah, he made the point, I think, which is most important this morning in the Tiser, saying that he's been assured there'll be no operational impact on police. It won't affect what they're doing, one iota, which is the key part of this.
Yeah. Keep the text coming, folks. Fantastic.
Yep. Or you can call in 8223 0000. Coming up, Rita Wilson will join us. Remember, it feels like a lifetime ago now when her and her husband Tom Hanks came to Australia and got COVID. It was that weekend where it suddenly felt like the walls were closing in on everyone in the Western world. We know Italy had problems, China had some issues.
Didn't one of the big-name basketballers get it that same day?
Rudy Gobert, the French player for the Utah Jazz, then he's played for the Timberwolves now, but he got it as well that day, and they immediately announced the shutdown to the league.
That's right.
And it was just suddenly it felt like in a 12-hour span, starting with the...
I remember you texting me saying something's getting real.
Yeah,
day.
That's right. Because everything started getting shut down. It started with Rita Wilson and Tom Hanks here in Australia. But Rita Wilson, with much happier duty, new album out. She'll tell us about it right after 5AA News.
At Steinborner, it's always been well worth the trip. Now we're evolving to include Steinborner Electric, where it's well worth the trip to the future. With Hyundai, Kona Extended Range, Ioniq Electric and Ioniq 5. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross Plug-in Hybrid, all-new Outlander Plug-in Hybrid, Ford Escape PHEV and E-Transit. And now the new Benzina Zero Electric scooters and mopeds. Thinking electric vehicles? There's only one place to go. Steinborner Electric. It's well worth the trip to the future.
At Specsavers, you can get one complete pair of standard multifocal glasses store-wide for just $199. Yep, any pair, any style, any designer, any shelf. Hurry, offer ends September 28th. SA stores only. Conditions apply. Should have gone to Specsavers.
Spring is finally here and we'll be getting outside more, feeling the sun again and maybe thinking about getting fit and healthy again.
And look, being out in the South Aussie sun, when you can finally see it, it's going to be thirsty work. So to stay on top of your health, you're going to have to drink plenty of water. And that's why the great people at PureTap, they're having their biggest ever spring sale so that more South Aussies can enjoy pure, refreshing water all year round.
Whether it's in a glass, a water bottle or straight from the tap, it's easy to drink plenty of water with that refreshing PureTap taste. It's the perfect thing for a hot day.
So spring into action and save with PureTap's biggest ever spring sale.
Call PureTap today on 133 502 or visit puretap.com.au to make the most of PureTap's biggest ever spring sale. T's and C's apply.
Why so blue, little blueberry?
I don't know.
But you're full of vitamins and naturally sweet.
What else?
Well, you're now only $2.99 per 125 gram pack at Aldi.
What's Aldi?
Aldi's good. Different.
APIA's offering a 10% discount on new comprehensive car or home insurance. Because the more you save, the more you can enjoy retirement. Like taking salsa classes. That's APIA value. Call APIA today on 13 50 50 to discover even more ways to save. T's and C's apply. Offer available until 30 October 22. Some optional extras excluded from discount. APIA is an authorised representative of AAI Limited, the product issuer. Read the PDS before buying this insurance. Call for copy. TMD also available.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
South Australian Optus customers impacted by the data breach will be able to apply for a new driver's licence free of charge. Partly cloudy, 17 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
South Australians with Optus impacted by the data hack will be able to apply for a new driver's licence and it won't cost them. The state government will waive the usual $20 fee. Transport Minister Tom Koutsantonis strongly advises anyone caught up in the hack get a new licence.
You don't want people having your driver's licence number, your date of birth and your address. It's often used as verification in very, very important security checks. My very, very strong advice, if this data has been compromised, it's important you change your driver's licence number.
Echunga residents have been told to prepare for flooding with a large dam expected to burst. It's on private farming land on Mariana Street. This man lives downhill.
So there's a lot of townsfolk who are actually in the path of this dam should it break. Obviously we had the SAS out last night. They were working on, we knew of them working on a smaller dam that's below it. But there's a very large dam.
A number of roads have been closed in the area and people are being told to relocate to a safe place outside of the warning area or go to the Echunga Football Club. The demolition of the heritage-listed Thebarton Police Barracks to make way for the new Women's and Children's Hospital doesn't sit well with some South Aussies. Special laws will be introduced to allow it to proceed. Heritage advocate Keith Conlon says it makes a mockery of our heritage protection processes.
There's 10 buildings there and they've been there since 1917. If they're not sacrosanct, what next? It would appear that now there is a sort of, if you come up with a good enough thing and a good economic argument, then maybe you can.
But Premier Peter Malinauskas has told David and Will we have to look at the bigger picture.
I've got a lot of regard for Keith Conlon. He's a good South Australian and he's very passionate about heritage, as some people are. The key thing that we have to be conscious of, and I have to be conscious of as Premier, is what's more important here and what are we weighing up?
More flights have been cancelled by Jetstar, wreaking havoc for some interstate travellers where it's also school holidays. Aussies visiting Bali, Hawaii and Singapore have been delayed. The airline says 3 of its 737 Dreamliners are out of action because of damage by debris, birds and lightning. Independent MPs and senators are worried Labor's integrity watchdog will lack teeth. Michael Packey reports from Canberra.
The federal government will introduce legislation to establish a National Anti-Corruption Commission. Labor says it'll have broad powers to investigate politicians, their staffers, bureaucrats and third parties like union officials and lobbyists. But independents like Zali Steggall are concerned public hearings would only be held in exceptional circumstances. circumstances.
Sunshine is the best disinfectant.
The opposition's Karen Andrews backs the commission as long as it's not set up to conduct so-called show trials.
I'm very supportive of there being higher standards and accountability.
Almost $300 million will be allocated to fund the new body.
Adelaide has taken out the top honour at Gourmet Travellers' annual awards. Restaurant Botanic named the best in the country. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And with everything happening in the footy world, it's over to Tom Wren.
Yeah, thank you, Mel. That's where we'll begin because there's been fresh revelations today that Alistair Clarkson, Chris Fagan and other coaches have been accused of running the Hawthorn Football Club like, quote, the Russian mafia. The claim has appeared in the full report into the treatment of past and present players, Indigenous that is, obtained by News Corp. Well, Richmond co-captain Dylan Grimes says he's looking forward to potentially having Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper as teammates after they both nominated to move from GWS.
Hugely positive. I haven't actually met them yet, but I'm really excited to, and they're obviously terrific footballers, so we got that under our belt, but I've heard they're really good blokes as well, so it'd be awesome to have them around Punt Road long term. So yeah, really excited about that.
Meantime, Tom Lynch has been named the winner of the Jack Dyer Medal, Richmond's best and fairest, 1 vote ahead of Daniel Rioli, and plenty of trade action as well for Port Adelaide and the Crows ahead of the trade period which begins next week. The Crows after Isaac Rankin, the Power set to try and get Jack Graham from Richmond as well as Junior Rioli from West Coast. To Formula One, the boss of Team Haas is open to Aussie Daniel Ricciardo driving for the underperforming team next season, but he says he'll have to reach out first. Full-time in UEFA Nations League matches this morning, Spain recording a 1-0 win against Portugal. Switzerland were 2-1 winners over the Czech Republic. The Republic of Ireland beat Armenia 3-2. The Ukraine and Scotland played out a 0-0 draw. Wallabies captain Michael Hooper will return to training with teammates ahead of the spring tour in Europe. He missed the Rugby Championship, explaining he wasn't in the right mindset. And Phil Mickelson and Ian Poulter have dropped out of a lawsuit against the PGA Tour's suspension of live defectors. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Coromandel Valley, with a car rollover causing delays, that's Main Road near the Walk. At Holden Hill, urgent gas works on North East Road near Grand Junction Road. And we've got a couple of worst waterways to look out for. You'll find one at Netley, Marion Road near Watson Avenue, and another one at Belair, Main Road near Manouta Drive. Busy South Road at Karauta Park with cameras, Hardies Road, Torrensville, and Pearling Avenue at Edinburgh. The Brighton Road level crossing at Hove will be closed this long weekend from 6 a.m. Saturday till 2 p.m. Monday. That's for maintenance works. Details in place. Search Adelaide Metro for info. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA weather, 17, partly cloudy today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 19, and then 21 on Saturday. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 to 9 behind closed doors coming up in just a moment. And as we've been doing right throughout the morning, if there's anything to update with regard to the Echunga Dam situation, you'll hear it first here on 5AA Breakfast. Sam Daddo's been there throughout the morning. We're in constant contact with the SES and SAPOL as well. But if you're in the area, you're an Echunga resident, we'd love to hear from you. We'll make some room, in fact, if you'd like to tell us what the story of your life is the last 13 or so hours since SES first started putting out alerts with regard to the integrity of the dam. Do call us, 8223 or you can text us on the Automasters text line. Well, our next guest is a superstar as a performer in film, a film producer, and a musician in her own right too. A decade ago was releasing some covers of terrific 60s and 70s songs, then went into recording her own songs and is now back covering classics, but with some of the legends of music. Rita Wilson, Now and Forever Duets, is an album featuring some of the biggest names you could imagine. Jimmy Allen, Jackson Brown, Elvis Costello, Vince Gill, Josh Groban, Tim McGraw, Willie Nelson, Leslie Odom Jr., Smokey Robertson, Keith Urban. It is a remarkable compilation.
Yeah, excuses for being parochial, but as Australians, I've got to say, particularly excited that you've done a duet with Keith Urban, but also excited to hear that track, Massachusetts, made famous by our very own Bee Gees.
Absolutely. You can't do the 70s and not have the Bee Gees on there.
So it must have been a labour of love picking all of these tunes. What a lineup.
It was so much fun. You know, I've always attracted to story, so kind of started with story, and first of all, started with all the songs that you love, and then narrowed it down to stories and what songs could be, you know, translated into duets, and then what are the stories that are being told between these two lovers, so to speak. And, you know, in Massachusetts, which I've never heard as a duet, maybe it's out there somewhere, but I haven't come across it. But I kind of imagined that these two people broke up, went their separate ways, but missed each other and came back to Massachusetts.
How does the collaboration process work, Rita? Do you go to these wonderful musicians and say, I'd like to do this duet with you, or do you start knocking around a few ideas? Have they come to you with ideas? How does it work?
It was such a fun process. You know, started out with a lot of songs, put them into a bunch of different playlists, and then as I would approach an artist, or we would talk about it, and I would usually say, okay, these are the 3 to 5 songs that I was thinking of. You know, is there anything here that you're responding to? And 9 times out of 10, they would pick the one that I would have imagined that we could have done together. But sometimes they didn't, you know, they were like, no, send me more. These aren't resonating. These aren't feeling right. And so it was kind of a fluid, ongoing process, but always with the main idea that it was a story that was being told, and it was really a conversation between 2 people, 2 lovers.
Yeah. As someone who performs, Rita, do you feel that given the restrictions and the limitations on social interaction and human contact that we've all endured across the planet over the last 2 years, do you feel like there's a bit of a resurgent appetite? I mean, the act of a duet, you know, here in Australia, if you tried to stand up and sing with somebody in public this time last year, you would have been arrested.
That's so true. Well, I think, you know, I did benefit from recording this in the second year of the pandemic when people were still not touring. So it was easier to get to people, and people have home studios. Most of the artists that I recorded with did. So we recorded some live. All of the tracking was done live in Los Angeles, and I think we benefited from people still not being on tour and being at home and wanting to create.
Absolutely.
Did you find, recording an album, when you've released your own music before in the past, I mean, it's you with a theme and an approach, and you know stylistically what you're trying to achieve, but when you're incorporating so many different people from a diverse series of backgrounds with such recognisable styles in their own right, did you find you had to test your ability to be flexible within the music and perform in different ways to match the people you're doing duets with?
Yeah, sometimes, because you know, finding the right keys for 2 people to sing songs. You know, sometimes it'd be a great key for a guy, but not such a great key for a woman. So you're like, okay, musically, how are we going to deal with this? And sometimes there was modulations that would happen. And my co-producer, Matt Rawlings, is an amazing musician and won Grammys for Willie Nelson's Gershwin album and Sinatra album. He was really genius at sort of putting all of that together. And, but yeah, it's very true. You know, sometimes I'd be like, I can't sing that low. Even on Massachusetts, there's definitely some low notes for me.
Oh, it's terrific stuff. Well, the record is now out here in Australia. It is Rita Wilson, Now and Forever Duets, and you can find it on all the various streaming services as well. Rita, lovely to chat to you, and all the very best for the release of your album.
Thank you so much. Really nice talking to you guys, too. Give my love to Australia.
We will. Good on you. Fantastic, Rita. Thank you so much.
Rita Wilson, our guest on 5AA Breakfast. It's 17 minutes to 9. It's time to check traffic.
I was going to ask you quickly, though, Will. Have you got a favourite duet of all time?
Well, you're the duets, man, because I've seen you perform duets.
Perform? Don't you think Butcher?
What was the last
more
duet that I saw you perform? I'm just trying to think.
It was with the Lord Mayor.
It was
You
with
Don't Bring Me Flowers.
It was with the Lord Mayor.
Yeah.
It could be
She did a good job.
That could be her campaign song.
I reckon Endless Love, Diana Ross, Lionel Richie. That's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah,
good tune.
Well, let us know, folks. What's your favourite duet? 8223
Or if we have any Portuguese speakers listening, Elise Regina and Tom Jobim, Aguas de Março. One
Okay.
of the best duets in history. It's probably my favourite song of all time.
Portuguese is in they were from Portugal or Brazilian?
Brazilian.
Yeah, okay.
Just stunning.
16 to 9, traffic, thanks to the RAA. Before you head off on your road trip to do the fun stuff, let RAA take care of the car stuff.
Thanks, Will. At Beverley, a truck has hit a traffic light at Port Road and Kilkenny Road. Holden Hill, urgent gas works there, North East Road near Grange Junction Road. While at Netley, you find a burst water main, Marion Road near Watson Avenue. Got another burst water main. This one's at Belair Main Road near Moota Drive. And quite busy at the moment, the Parade, Cleanburn Road to Port Rush Road. Look out for a camera to Halsey Road and Elizabeth East. Business owners, stop paying merchant fees and terminal rental. Talk to SmartPay today for zero cost FBOS. Visit smartpay.com.au. Minimum turnover and T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Last month,
The next generation of mighty South Aussies have spoken.
Equal rights for everyone. Oceans without junk in them. No nasty chemicals in things.
Search Sustainable 7 to hear more about what the future's got in store for Foodland.
1,000 people trusted us with their pride and joy. Isn't it time for you to switch and save? Call 1300 Automasters or book online. All centres offer repair now, pay later options. So switch and save with Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
At Anderson's Solicitors, we have a brand new look. But behind it, we're still the same faces. The same approachable, client-focused team, committed to helping find the right solution for you. With locations across the state, whether you need help with family law, commercial law, wills and estates, or personal injury claims, talk to Anderson's Solicitors today. Visit andersons.com.au or phone 8238 6666. That's 8238 6666.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available now on the Nissan Navara SL 4x4 Dual Cab Auto with more models to come. Plan confidently for the road ahead with Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
From the fields up north
to the oceans west,
we comb the land for the food that's best.
Taste buds to tickle, a whole state to feed.
Homegrown goodness, that's what we need.
Everyday low prices, any time of year. Here you go.
Thanks! Trust the mighty South Aussies.
Great food lives here, Foodland. The mighty South Aussies, yeah.
Last month, around 11,000 people trusted us with their pride and joy. Automasters, logbook servicing, repairs, brakes, aircon and more. Isn't it time for you to switch and save? Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News. David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
12 to 9, talking duets, following our chat with Rita Wilson, who's releasing an album of her own with some help from her friends. Got a $100 Samtas seafood voucher to give away. This was David's nomination. How similar is Portuguese to Spanish?
Pronunciation-wise, extremely different. Like R's are H's, and yeah, like they say Rio de Janeiro. Like, and it's one of the reasons why Portuguese sounds so good when it's sung. It's such a beautiful language.
Interesting.
But, yeah, he's the guy who wrote The Girl from Ipanema.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, Antonio Carlos Jobim.
We're asking you about your favourite duets for the $100 Samtas seafood voucher. Paul in Evanston Park, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Ellen Foley and Meatloaf, Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Oh, yes, good choice. I think we bat 100 for whatever the talker is, someone will nominate Meatloaf.
Well, there's a reason they call Bat Out of Hell the soundtrack of our lives.
Well, I think we see someone get shoehorned into every conversation we have. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. Stephen and Norwood, good morning.
Good morning. A song I used at my wedding by Don Johnson and Barbara Streisand called "Till I Love You." And Barbara Streisand actually wanted to take the song off of the market after they separated.
Really? That's an amazing
it's a beautiful song.
Oh, that's a serious duet with a backstory.
That's
Thank
great.
you, Stephen. Peter in Henley Beach, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. This great duet is by two gentlemen, greatest singers, one from Wales and one from Australia, Tom Jones and John Farnham singing My Yiddishi Mama.
Oh, yeah, good one.
Good one, Peter. Debbie in South Plimpton, good morning.
Morning, lads. I've got three really quick ones.
Oh,
so, Streisand and Diamond for You Don't Bring Me Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Lionel Richie and Dana Ross for Endless Love.
Yes.
And Dolly and Tanny.
Islands in the Stream.
Islands in the Stream.
That is what we are, Debbie.
I think that's the go-to karaoke classic, that one. Good on you, Debbie. Thank you. A few texts coming in. Don't Go Breaking My Heart, Kiki D and Elton John. And also someone on Craig on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook live stream says Under Pressure, Queen and Dave and Bowie.
That song is so good. That is a killer karaoke song. Particularly the end bit, even though you can never sing it. Never get close with those two blokes, but amazing tune. Oh, yeah, let's give Paul the Samtest voucher.
All right, Paul can have the Samtest voucher, but Robert can have the last say. Robert, good morning.
Good morning. Look, it could be any Lee Hazelwood, Nancy Sinatra song, but they do the kinkiest version of Jackson.
Yeah.
That is just a fantastic duet.
We were talking about Lee Hazelwood only the other day after Blakey used one of his tunes in a sketch, Robert. I don't know if you heard that show that day.
I did, and look, unfortunately he's gone, but you listen to any of his stuff, it's fantastic.
What about that song Velvet Morning? Have you ever heard a weirder song than that?
No.
It's on the Lee and Nancy duets album. Great record.
It's great.
Good on you, Robert. Thank you. More texts on the Automasters text line. Helen says, time to say goodbye. Sarah Brightman and Andrea Bocelli. And Janet in Sellex Beach says, Tina Turner, Rod Stewart singing It Takes Two.
Yes.
9 to 9. Terrific duet.
Tina can get a
nominations.
few entries.
Yes.
With
she
her
certainly has.
bludger deadbeat ex-husband Ike, although musically, though, Proud Mary. Have you heard that?
Oh,
how good's that?
That's exceptional. Time to go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed,
Adelaide's #1 breakfast show, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
And welcome back to 5AA Breakfast. And David Penberthy, welcome back to you too.
Yeah, g'day, Will. How you going?
I'm really well, David. #1 and taking a second job.
And come in.
This morning on the show, we'll be looking at the plans for the new Women's and Children's Hospital.
What's your sign-off going to be, Will, when you do news on Channel 7?
I don't know, David. I think
What about Take It Easy, Adelaide? Graham Goodings is my father.
Yeah, not sure, David. So, a bit later in the show...
Ron Burgundy's in Anchorman. What was his? His was...
Stay Classy.
Stay Classy, yeah, that's right. And his female co-host, Alicia Silverstone, hers was...
Sorry, David.
I'm Alicia Silverstone. Thanks for stopping by, San Diego.
Yeah, actually, David, I think her sign-off was, I'm Veronica Cornerstone. David's very confused, San Diego.
What do you mean?
It's all right.
That was a great character, though, played by Crystal Watergate.
Christina Applegate, yep.
Yeah, she was great.
Also this morning, going to be looking at the elderly lady who got a ticket for blowing her car horn excessively because she was trying to avoid an accident.
Oh, yeah. I'm walking here.
What movie was that?
Oh, it's a classic, Midnight Express.
Midnight
starring
Cowboy.
Jason Blackman.
Dustin Hoffman, yep.
And Jeff Benoit
John
as
Voight.
Michael
It's
Tuck.
Joe Buck, yep.
Yeah, and speaking of good movies, I watched Batman and Robin again last night.
All right, George Clooney.
Yeah, and Veronica Cornerstone as Batgirl.
Alicia Silverstone, David.
Nah, you're a bit confused there, Will. That wasn't Batman. That was Anchorman.
That's how it happens.
Yeah, well, that's just the nature of the beast sometimes. 7 to 9, Lucy's in the studio with some live fuel information for us. Lucy, because it's sort of, we're into the almost rolling fuel coverage stage of the excise returning.
We're going to do a live fuel watch today thanks to RAA. Find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free My RAA app from your app store today. Fuel watch, of course, though, unleaded, sitting at $1.89.9 or 0.5 if you're lucky. It is still up around that $1.89. It has been for a few days and will continue to be the cheapest, though, if you are a Costco member. It is $1.44.7 at Costco.
Well,
this is not an ad for for Costco, but they currently have the cheapest fuel.
Go in there, fill up by 9,000 bread rolls as well.
And 9,000 cans of soft drink.
And then they'll be rotting by Monday, and you go, what have I a gross of bread rolls?
There is a handy hint, though. The United at number 10, Henley Beach Road in Henley Beach, 10 minutes ago, saying they have unleaded for $1.62.
Okay.
If you're in the Henley Beach area, head there now for diesel. We've had a few requests for diesel at the moment. While it loads, you can get diesel for $1.95 at the Coles Express in Theberton on Port Road, $1.99 otherwise in the eastern suburbs, $1.88 on Marion Road, and if you are in the southern suburbs, it is between $1.97 and $2.02.
Okay. How about let's play nearest to the pin for... We'll have something to give away tomorrow, won't we, Luce?
Yeah, we have Dolly Parton 9 to 5 musical tickets tomorrow.
For Dolly Parton 9 to 5 musical tickets at 8:55 tomorrow, what will the cheapest unleaded we find be?
Just writing this down because between now and then we'll all forget.
What is it right now, the cheapest one you can find?
$1.62.
Okay.
Oh, well, we're not counting Costco. That was $1.44.
Okay,
let's do $1.62 at the United on Henley Beach Road.
Excise plus GST is about 25 cents. So what is it going to be 8:55 tomorrow? You can call in now on 8223 0055. Sorry, Luce. I just made this up in the moment. 8223 0055 and tell us what you think it's going to be closest to the pin. So do you believe...
Luce is going to get RSI. She's just answered about 500 phone calls about duets and then she's going to get everyone ringing in about petrol
She
price.
just had whiplash just then, the way she got up from the chair. What do you think the petrol's going to be 8:55 tomorrow? Remembering that this is for the 9 to 5 musical tickets. Remembering that Jim Chalmers has given a stern warning to the petrol companies. He's watching them.
Yeah.
He's watching them.
Those stern warnings. It's a bit like, let the banks know you're going to shop around if they don't pass on an interest rate cut in full.
I've changed my mortgage once. They don't make it easy.
No.
And you got to pay fees.
Oh, total pain in the butt.
So where will it go? Will it go up the full 25 cents? Will it be more? Will it be less? Will it go backwards? How are they going to play it? It's already gone up a little bit from where it was earlier in the week. $1.62-ish, let's call that what the cheapest we've found this morning at 8:55. We'll check into again tomorrow morning, and we'll get some people with their thoughts on what the cheapest is going to be. 8223 0000. I wonder who can predict what's going to happen the best. You could win yourself those tickets. I think Lisa's just talking to them at the moment. $100. We've got the 9 to 5 musical tickets to give away, but it will be we need to make the rules of this perfectly clear. So it'll be at this time tomorrow, nearest to the pin. Reno has guessed $2.25.9.
$2.25.
I reckon that's the high. Got to be the high mark. I can't imagine anyone's going to go higher than $2.25.9. He's our high watermark so far for nearest to the pin. 8223 0000. Win yourself a 9 to 5 voucher at this time tomorrow if you are the closest to what the cheapest unleaded price we can find by looking at the RAA's excellent app. What do you reckon?
I'll say $1.97.
$1.97.
But I'm not eligible.
I've got a feeling it'll be some sort of moderate increase that'll be halfway between full and a full pass on and not. I reckon it'll be about $1.73. $1.73-ish.
You know what I don't understand? Where the decimal point goes now that it's gone up so much.
Because there's also the point, that we go down to the 10th of a cent, bizarrely.
You look at Reno's guess, $2.25.9 a litre is technically 2.25.9.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult to read out because you don't say 225.9 cents. I think Jeff and Felix Stowe's having a guess. That might round out the market.
Lisa's writing them all down. We'll report back tomorrow.
$2.09.9, Jeff. $2.09.9. Gee, some people are expecting it to go absolutely bonkers. 11:59 tonight it changes. So by the time we've got on tomorrow morning, we'll start seeing some things flow through. And what we're going to need from you tomorrow morning is some live reports as we get over the course of the morning to get a sense of how quickly this is being passed on. Because we're all watching, the ACCC is watching, the Treasurer is watching as well. We've got two more coming in. We might put both of those in the running as well, Luce, if you're speaking to people out there at the moment.
And look, don't miss tomorrow's show, folks, because we'll be lucky, as we always are, to have Matthew Abraham on. I think that getting Matt's insights, given his many decades of watching governments get stuck in the mud of development issues in this town, Matt's analysis of how the Malinauskas government is going to proceed from here with the Women's and Children's Hospital is going to be fascinating listening.
It certainly will be. All right, Lisa's compiling all the numbers. We will announce a winner at this time tomorrow morning. Stick around. Leon Biner is coming up after 9 o'clock, and we'll be back tomorrow from 6.
Get your scan on with the Monopoly game at Macca's. Scan tickets for the chance to win at World of Warcraft Dragonflight Gaming Pack, a $1,000 Pet Barn gift card and more. Download the My Macca's app to scan and play today. Ends 18th of October.